My fellow Americans, let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. Integrity, AMT high.
Due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
We are now falling to the moon rather than rising away from Earth. It is an amazing milestone.
We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity, we're now resuming operational audio contact.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We've got a new tech op today. It isn't actually tech op. And so, with tech op, you never know what to expect music-wise. But because it's not tech op, I assumed that wouldn't be a thing anymore. But no, the disciple is. He looks like a disciple, doesn't he?
So I wouldn't know. I've got my back to him. So
did you not see him as you came in? He is. It just looks like a disciple. Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing I thought. I had a good look at his face.
The names you give to people make us sound like a terrible version of the A-Team.
You don't have a name.
I was Creature not so long ago.
Well, anyone who sits there is Creature. Because they're my comfort creature, my emotional support animal.
Wow.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We do acknowledge that you are also present. Happy weekend to you. What have you got planned? Are you going to replay the apparently textbook Return to Earth?
Yes, it was.
The early hours this morning, I was fast asleep.
Oh, I watched it.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Not only did you watch it, proving that you were a little night owl, but when I came into work and the district line was down, so I had to find other ways of getting to the studios, you were already here. And I thought something very strange has occurred.
Well, usually there was one time I was late. One time.
No, but there's one time you were sort of late, but you're always, you know. Oh, that's not true, actually. Normally you come in before me.
Yes, I'm always here. Most people are here before you.
Yeah. But
I wouldn't mind. You're not actually coming from Gloucester.
I was going to.
You're closer than I am.
I was thinking if there was another day that you came in late, I was going to actually get you a
I think
mosque
there was
alarm
actually,
clock.
yeah.
Do you remember there was? I think one of the early seasons of Apprentice, they all had to go and buy a mosque alarm clock, and ever since I've clapped my eyes on that back about 20 years ago, I've always secretly harboured a desire for one. I don't know why.
No.
I don't know why. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about today. And, of course, we've got our regular Times quiz. And, of course, we've got you as well to give us whatever's on your mind. Yeah. A smorgasbord, a veritable banquet, a buffet of viewer
It's an interesting selection of news this week. Like, a lot has happened. Not a lot has happened, but it's been very, like, across lots of areas.
There's a lot of stuff that's sort of evolving. We've got the peace talks in Pakistan. Oh, we're going to dig into that. We're going to go into that. Oh, Pakistan, as we discovered, who were giving all the secrets to Iran to make nuclear weapons. Oh, you want to conduct peace talks, do you? And then we've got Chagos. I mean, that was a big one.
Yeah.
I was out for dinner with Mr. O'Sullivan last night.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a good old crew. It was me, Samara, Kev, Kev's bike.
Thanks for the invite.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, to be fair, I was here, so
Were you?
Yeah, while you were all out, I was here.
You could have just come in afterwards. We were just there.
Yeah, I was here doing the paper review till midnight.
Oh, yeah, no, we were gone by then. Yeah. But it's good. We were having, and then while I was sitting there, the news came up, and like all journalists do, we sat there. I'm like, there's some breaking news. You know, dinner is interrupted by this piece of information, and I was like, Chagos, they're not going to be given away anymore. And Kev's like, where's that from? Eating his food because Kev's
always eating.
Kev loves eating
having
and
no
speaking
food around him
at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Where's that one? It's like Stephen Swinford exclusive.
Yeah.
But we're all sort of, basically we spent a whole dinner talking about this place and realising the best show that's never been made would be a show about this place.
Oh,
it would make Frasier look like some sort of,
Yeah, this is like The Office on speed.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Also, I go with the Armando Iannucci theory about why you can't do another version of The Thick of It, because real life is that mental. You would have to be so extreme, nobody would believe it.
This place is really wacky. Like behind the scenes, it's wacky on air.
It's wacky on air.
It's wacky on air, but behind the scenes, it's well, who knows?
It's like the Labour Party.
Right. Stories, says Ratty. Right, let's get into stories then, shall we? Well, let's start off actually with. Shall we start off with Artemis is back?
Oh yes, textbook.
Yeah. What did you make of the whole Artemis thing? Now it's all done. Yeah. Now it's done and dusted, and they're safely home. We can sort of pensively ponder.
Yeah, well, realistically, we've got to wait to see what they've found out. Has the technology worked? Have we got enough information? That's how we know whether it's an achievement.
What was in the poo?
Yeah, you got to look in the poo, as Gillian. Gillian, was it Keith?
Gillian. Well, I don't think she's actually going to be the poo.
But who else is doing that? But anyway,
In fact, Chris, there you go. There's a long-term bid, as we like to say. Again, long-term bid.
Yeah, I think it's a great. I'm massively into it, but I do think it was interesting to watch the precision of it and actually how this was very successfully done.
What do you feel about, actually, because, this is sort of like, we've gone there and we've looked at it closer than we've looked at it for, other than the time that we were actually on it. Yeah. And the next thing is like, right, we're going to get back on it. And then it's once we've got back on it, we're going to build things on it. That's where I kind of, I feel uncomfortable.
Oh, what, a lunar base?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Although I suppose, in my mind, looking at the moon would be ruined if it had a lunar base on it. But I suppose it'd be a dot, wouldn't it, in the grand scheme of things? Because the moon is... You wouldn't see it. I don't know how big the moon is, but it's...
Yeah, big.
It's big.
Yeah. But no, I think this was always the next step. The thing that we haven't quite worked out is how we're going to kind of... we don't deal with the politics of space.
Right.
So basically, China has claimed a bit of it, and like
India's
we've claimed a bit. Everyone's got a claim to things, and everyone's making moves. It's very much like the gold rush in America, where everybody's moving in, doing a lot of things, and there's no governing document.
This is like AI.
Yeah, and this is the big. Perfect example.
I do feel that we still haven't really taken time to mop up the horror show that is basically social media.
Oh, we haven't mopped up any horror show. In any words, we're now in like the second season.
Yeah.
And the writing has gone down.
You know what they say in Silicon Valley? Move fast, break things.
Yeah, that's the...
And, you know, because I was off social media for Lent, it's my favourite. You know when people quit smoking and all they do is banging on about quitting smoking, or when people go off the alcohol
vegan.
and they become... Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Never met a vegan that's not told me they're a vegan.
I've become kind of virtuous about my social media break.
Oh, no.
It was so good. I saw things in a way that I'd never seen them before, as in reality came back.
Yeah.
And I realised that everyone... I mean, especially when you're involved in it and you're going, ha-ha, I know more than you, ha-ha, I know more than you, you don't notice how ridiculous that is. When you're off from a distance, not participating, but I'm still looking at it because it is a great source of news, and you can follow some fascinating people and, you know, find out things. It has, since Elon Musk has bought Twitter, it has become, in some respects, far more intelligent. You have some brilliant people on there writing short-form articles with insights. Sometimes you don't know if they're real or not. You can always tell when someone's used grok.
Oh, yes.
There's something about the intonation that you know.
Most AI you can actually tell when it's been, because the sentence doesn't recognise the previous sentence. So everything kind of sounds like it's a brand new brand new thought.
True.
Yeah, the paragraphs don't link together.
It's almost like it's sort of built in the rule of three.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one. And the M dash, and there's lots of little tells. Even if you tell it to get rid of it, they're still like within the kind of basic coding of it.
Yeah.
But no, my thing with social media is, everybody gets really, you could get hooked into it. But I just find it quite funny now. I like watching people have the spats. I'm literally on all of them. I'm a complete social media. I'm on literally all of them.
Right, so Instagram, TikTok. You're not on Snapchat, are you?
No, I'm too old. I'm too old. But Snapchat was a thing. It really came out when I was in like sixth form. That's when it really became a thing. And then, what I do. Threads is weirdly popular. That seems to be. That's the Instagram version of Twitter.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
See, I'm sort of on Instagram, but not really. And
the big one
changed
is
my phone, and I've been trying to log back into Instagram, and I can't remember my password. And I'm a bit like, oh well.
Yeah.
And I just went back on Facebook, but secretly, surreptitiously under the radar, with no friends.
Yeah.
Because I just want to use Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, right, okay.
But
that is the wild west of the internet.
When you look at it from the outside, looking in, you say it's really sad. You look at people on it, and suddenly you just think you're really sad.
Yeah, because my thing is, you're going out of the way to call somebody a name that you don't know, pretending to know something that you don't know, and then taking some kind of moral victory over it.
But it's also,
I find that bizarre.
Right. It's the moral victories.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I've noticed that all the wars now, other than Ukraine, Russia, have become just about identity politics. Ukraine, Russia can't be about identity politics because they're both white European nations, and so it's just Putin bad. So everyone can decide that Putin is bad, and that's that. You get a few quirky types who, have variant sympathies.
They're like the uncle at a party.
But it is also sort of unnuanced Putin bad, Zelensky
and I think that's
good,
what makes it different.
Rather than okay, Ukraine is also a bit dodgy at times.
Yeah.
But with all the others, it's sort of like Trump's winning, Trump's losing, Iran's big victory, Trump's failed, Trump's excellent, Gaza, genocide, and you're just like, this is just human madness on a stick. And we walk around wondering why we have a huge uptick in mental health disorders, personality disorders, a rise in autism. I mean, I'm not saying it causes autism, but I'd imagine if someone has a predisposition to certain things, that something like social media is going to exacerbate such problems.
Also, the level of violence. The normalisation of violence on social media is very concerning, and I think that is starting to bleed into younger people as to why you have 12-year-olds carrying axes and nobody seems to kind of bat an eyelid.
And extremes in politics as well. I was speaking to my friend in America, the brilliant Adam Coleman, who comes on this show, and I say, what is going on? And we both just went, well, it's China.
Yeah.
And all roads lead to that. He basically sent this incredible message to me. He's working with a friend on all of these things, and I know people who are working on the same over here, looking at how they create seed companies, cyber farms, psyops, because he said they're managing to, because they can't destroy the West economically through might alone, they're finding ways to constantly watch us or prod us into undermining ourselves.
Oh, yeah. It's called net zero.
Well, exactly. And also, let's do, because both of these next things link into this. There you go, Ratty. We're finally getting round to the news. He's not even listening. No, he and the disciple of, I don't know, on Twitter or something. But so, the North Sea oil situation is astonishing, because depending where we fancy doing our shopping, sometimes we get our LNG from Qatar. At the moment, because Qatar's sort of not really able to get it to us, and had various things attacked by Iran. We've been increasingly turning to Norway. And the cruel irony of going to Norway for our oil is that it's from exactly the same place where our oil comes from. It also turns out, and I can't say I know anything, I'm not a geologist or whatever one calls someone who's an expert in the composition of oil types, but 40s blend. Sounds like a good cup of tea, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
We always end up with what would this be if it wasn't what it was?
What's 40s blend
what
to
is
you?
40s blend? I think it sounds like tea that your milkman would deliver.
Yeah. Like some kind of like old-fashioned in a glass bottle. It's 40s blend.
40s blend.
Yeah, there you go. That's a new phrase for the show.
Or maybe made of 4 different teas. Perhaps, actually, that's what I'm going to have after the next advert break. See if, because I've got an Earl Grey, I've got a couple of tea bags in my, and we could have machine tea, the normal, the Tetley, Earl Grey, and the other one, 40s blend.
Yeah.
40s blend, which is the benchmark for North Sea oil for immediate delivery. So apparently this 40s blend is sort of, various oils need refining and turning into different bits and bobs. I remember the oil chart of kerosene at the top, crude at the bottom, or whatever it was. 40s blend, for whatever reason, is like chef's kiss oil. And it's at an all-time high. Weirdly, Brent crude coming down. Now the Strait of Hormuz, all now negotiations are taking place in Pakistan.
It was $94 a barrel this morning. I get it sent through to me every morning.
What?
Literally,
Brent crude?
the oil prices.
A barrel of Brent crude.
No, I have it set that the oil prices come through, so I know what it is.
But 40s blend is a record high, and it just so happens that is the stuff that we have in our territorial waters, untouched. It's something like 300 million barrels or something.
Yeah.
And then we've got enough gas which could supply 6% of the country. Jackdaw, no, just from one place, Jackdaw. Enough to heat 1.4 million homes. People might go, well, that's not a lot. But if you were to just take Jackdaw and go, Jackdaw, you look after that AI centre that's not been built.
Yeah.
You look after industry in the whole of the northeast. You know, it's astonishing to me. We learned a factoid on yesterday's programme. Because you weren't here, I'm going to share it with you. And anyone who didn't listen to yesterday's show may want to hear this. So, you know, OpenAI, we're creating a conglomerate of investment with other big tech companies to build, you know, to sort of help the UK become leaders in AI. Now, I don't trust AI. I'm freaked out by it. We're going to be hopefully talking about that tomorrow. Nudge, nudge.
Ratty. Something for today.
But thank you. But we were going to become leaders in it, which is so important. We have some of the best universities in the world. We were leaders in fintech. If the technology is scary, I think we ought to be one of the leaders in it, rather than just a passenger.
Well, we did invent most of the technology in the world anyway, so...
Right, I know.
Yeah.
I know. White supremacy and all that, or Anglo-Saxon supremacy. We did. But basically, we were going to have this conglomerate invest £31 billion to build big AI centre in the northeast, which has now been cancelled because of various reasons, because of still following EU copyright directives, because of the cost of energy, because of planning permissions, all of these things. And they've just gone, oh, for God's sake, there's no point. There's no point. But what I found out was that £31 billion investment, which wasn't from the taxpayer, it was from Americans, thank you very much, was potentially going to generate an uptick of 10% in GDP, equivalent to £300 billion.
Yes.
And because of basically the Labour Party, we are not going to have that.
Yeah,
that is a national crime.
It is. It's part of the economic prosperity deal that we made with America when Trump and do you know, whenever we thought we had a free trade deal, this is what this was actually about. It was worth trillions in the future, but unfortunately our energy infrastructure and the energy supply was nowhere near strong enough to what you need to actually run the kind of computers that build the AI, that do the research, that do the actual technical stuff. It's astronomical in terms of the amount of power they would take. So yeah, the idea that we could actually do it was a bit fanciful, really, in the first place, because of the policies that we've got and the regulations and the unnecessary red tape. Is unnecessary.
Why is Ed Miliband just not getting on? Why has he not come out and said with his weird nasally voice, we are a country committed to net zero, whatever, I don't care. You can do all that preamble about saving the planet, but then say, unprecedented circumstances mean that it would make more sense right now if we were to extract our own fossil fuels, given that we use them anyway in the transition to green energy or whatever. He's like a stubborn child.
He is like a stubborn child.
But it's costing... I mean, how dare he? Yeah. How dare he, for his zealotry, his neo-religion, his self-glorification, his smugness, how dare he deprive not just this generation, but future generations of being participants in the greatest technological evolution that's going to face mankind ever, quite frankly. In people being able to put their heating on and pay their bills, people being able to keep their businesses going, all the jobs that rely on that, the cost of produce, everything. Everybody's lives are touched by energy prices. And that man is so stubborn, he's such a zealot, that because it's okay for him, because he can afford it, because he's probably got a heat pump or whatever.
He has 2 ovens.
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He couldn't care less. And I think it's the sooner this country is rid of that guy, the better. But I always say that your life is better the further away he is, because you're so right. Energy policy is so important because it's integral to absolutely everything. But one thing we do have to realise is all policy is linked together. What we've not had is a solid kind of unity, what we used to call it industrial strategy. In other words, this is what we kind of want to do with the economy. This is what we want it to feed into. We don't do that.
Energy is the heart of everything. If you can't afford your energy, then everything becomes more expensive. The food you eat, running your hospitals, you know, they require energy. It impacts public services. It impacts the commercial sector. It impacts people's shopping bills. It impacts whether you can then pay for your armed forces, build weapons, therefore defend yourself. Everything.
It's like also it's the high street, which is then people's jobs. It's communities. It's the sense that nothing is run down. When there's nothing worse than walking down a high street and it's boarded up shop. And then the next thing, you know, all you have to do was kind of lower everybody's energy prices because that's the biggest overhead. You know, the overheads is what's killing the pub.
And then
fish and chips, for example.
Technically, it then feeds into immigration as well because people are like, well, haven't got enough money in the bank, so can't afford to pay British stuff. Let's just import some workers from the developing world because they're cheaper. It all comes down to that common denominator.
All of it. But I will say, drilling is not just the solution. We have to diversify. We can't just go back to just having oil and fossil fuels. That is not the future. We just have to be realistic about renewables. People say, oh, they're so much cheaper. We're sending billions in subsidies. It's not cheaper if we're subsidising it, but we've got to be honest about where we are.
I made the argument yesterday. People are like, well, you know, we've got to... The war with Iran, Russia, Ukraine proves why we've got to come off fossil fuels, so we don't have to go cap in hand to tyrants. And I'm like... But we're going cap in hand to China, which is basically a tyrant and actively wishes us economically destroyed.
Also, we're going to Norway, and they always send us a terrible Christmas tree.
I know. And we helped them in the Second World War, can I just say. They owe us a solid. Let's do some messages, and then we're going to get into, of course, the quiz. Morning, Alex. We need to thank President Trump for saving us £35 billion on Chagos. Let's just watch Starmer and Herma now pay compensation to the Mauritians for having to withdraw the offer. That's a good point.
It's not been withdrawn. People really need to read the fine print.
Okay, let's pick this one up after the break. I hope Starmer doesn't get involved in building anything on the moon, as it would be called a loony base, not a lunar base.
We're hoping that's where we send Ed Miliband. To send it to the moon. That's what this entire project has been.
Do you think?
Getting rid of Ed Miliband.
If the British had done this, if we were the first ones to be able to go and get access to the moon, that's where we'd be like, our prisons are overcrowded. Well, let's make New Australia.
I will say, though, that actual British involvement in the space race is very significant. It's a huge sector here, so it makes a lot of money for us.
As I often tell people, my grandfather was the first scientist to analyse the lunar rock that's brought back. Morning, Alex. The most important thing is drill, baby, drill on the moon. First come, first claim. That's the new space race. It's so exciting to see who wins and claims, says George in Leicester. Well, it's not us. So is it exciting? No.
That's America first.
Is America first?
That's what America first actually means.
I just want to be American now.
Yes.
Well, no, I want to be British and American because our accent is like chef's kiss over there.
Like New Hampshire.
Apparently Bostonians especially. I don't know why Kev was giving me life advice. Kev last night was basically move to Boston. They're going to love your accent because they all wish they were British.
Most of them Irish.
Oh, really?
Boston Irish.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. And are you ready?
Yes.
For Olaf Bjortom's Saturday
this guy
Times
is my
quiz.
sleep paralysis demon, I swear.
Right,
here we go. About him. Go on.
Right, here we are.
Yep.
Is that tension bell? It's not tension bell.
No, that's Top Gear.
Top Gear. Oh, well done, disciple. He's been versed about the quiz within the quiz.
Oh, wow.
Well done. Right. Which musical instrument was patented by Adolf Sax in 1846? If you want a bonus hint here, I can let you know that he was from Belgium. Twining's strong English breakfast blend, not 40s blend, is a blend of which drink? Okay. It always starts off simple. If you've not watched this before, don't you sit there thinking, it's a waste of time before advert breaks. Oh, by the end of the show, you'll be sweating. Yes. Right, we'll give you the answers to those two just after this.
He's just trying to take credit, Keir Starmer, isn't he?
This man is not a leader. He's not the statesman that our country needs. He's failing us at every single level.
Donald Trump understands that Keir Starmer is fundamentally not a patriot.
Yeah.
He's not on the side of the West. He's been appeasing the Iranians in order to shore up his vote in this country.
In front of me is Waitrose, and I'm about to head in there. I literally openly put the stuff in my bag. I nervously walked to the front door, and away we go.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. Right, are you ready?
Text me that at like, oh God knows what time this
I woke up this morning, you messaged me, going, I'm already awake.
Yeah.
I was so excited. And I said, what did we used to say about the last week about the musical bed?
Yeah.
I lose so much
Tension
information
bed.
so quickly.
Yeah.
It was tension bed. Quod dicas ubi aliquid malum tibi imminet omen. No, sorry, that is the Latin crossword.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Which musical instrument was patented by Adolf Sax in 1846?
Saxophone.
'Twas, of course, the saxophone. Where's the ting, George the Disciple? Ding! There we go. Almost had to do it, we did do it ourselves. Okay. Twining strong English breakfast 40s blend is a blend of which drink?
Tea.
Well, who would have thunk? There you go.
They take your passport off you if you don't know that one.
As someone said, Alex, Boston is very Irish.
Yes.
I doubt very much that an English rose such as yourself would be welcome there.
Yeah, I think Kev Babe is setting you up there, if I'm being brutally honest.
Oh, he's got a nasty streak. he's got spite in his veins.
I was going to say, yeah, Boston Irish.
Yeah, there we go. I almost went to Boston College of Communications, and I kind of wish I had now. I was weighing up whether to go to try and get a Fulbright Award and go to train to be a journalist in Boston at Boston College of Communications, which is a very good journalism school, or go to our own best journalism school, which is Cardiff. Sorry, anyone who went to City, it is Cardiff. And I decided I chose Cardiff, but I've always lived with a slight regret about that.
Yeah.
Because I reckon if I
It's very cold in Boston. Like, very cold. Lot of snow.
What, year round?
Well, not year round, but it is, when the winter is winter.
Oh, I really
It's very good, yeah.
Ooh. I don't
know whether you'd survive it, if I'm being honest.
I
mean, a decent flu season and cling
I'd be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I went to inauguration a year ago, it was sort of minus 13, minus 14 degrees in DC and NYC and all the other acronyms.
It's about that. It's
and I came home with FLU. Bad.
Yeah. I was going to say, was it William Harding that died because he didn't wear a coat?
Also, Dr. Foster.
Yeah.
In Gloucester, a puddle of rain.
Yeah.
He should have probably not didn't it?
Yeah.
Weather deaths.
There you go. Chagos.
Right, so everyone's celebrating, everyone was fist pumping, I was excited. Stephen Swinford got the exclusive. Apparently it's not going to be in the King's speech, but the legislation's off the table because America finally, you took your time, guys, has gone, you know that thing about that airbase that you didn't let us use that we had forgotten existed, but now we've realised it's really important when we want to bomb stuff? Yeah, actually, we don't want you to give it to anyone else. Oh, there you go. Just about 2 years too late. Yeah. But you are suggesting that it isn't.
No, because it's
a done deal.
It's been stalled. Its legislative process has not been pulled. It's been stalled. In other words, they've said, we'll have a minute. Not, we're getting rid of it. It's still on the books. So basically, because we're coming up to the end of Parliament, they have to decide whether they're going to kind of suffer the defeat or they completely pull it. What you can do is just move it to the next parliamentary term, which is what I think they're going to probably do, because they're still saying that they think it
term is in after the next general election.
Yeah, no, and after the King's speech. It doesn't need to be in it. So I think if it's in it, I think they've got the votes. The reason they've done this, I think, is because they're scared of what Trump has said, where retaliation is coming for NATO nations.
But I don't think,
I think that's more of a timing issue.
We're
than
on it
anything
now.
else.
In the words of John Healey, we see you. Well, we know what you're doing with that.
Yeah, but we didn't do anything.
But you know, it's I actually had a dream about this last night.
God.
It's really disturbing when you dream about the news. And I actually dreamt about sort of basically them just bringing it back anyway. And I thought maybe I'm like Joseph and I foretell the future.
Yeah.
But
also, I will say that the actual treaty exists. It has been written. It's just not been. You've not had the exchange of letters.
For the individuals involved, there's too much riding on this. But what I do hope, and I've said this for a long time, is now America is scrutinising this. Now America, as I said, using it over that Iran war's kind of helped things a little bit.
Without
with
a
this.
doubt. Yeah.
And now they're using it. They don't want to lose it. And I'm like, right, there you go. You get it. And I keep saying to my good friend Niall Gardner at the Heritage Foundation, who's always, doing American politics, I keep saying to him, what the Americans need to do is subpoena, because it's a shared base. I don't know how it works, but I'd imagine they'd be able to subpoena all the legal documents surrounding this. Who said what to whom? The minutes, the negotiations, who signed off on what? Ask for every last bit of paperwork, haul those people in front of Congress, make them testify under oath, make them explain exactly what's happened here. Because I just have a feeling that there's going to be some grotty circumstances.
Yeah, and do you know who its all focuses around? Peter Mandelson. Peter Mandelson was the one who was the kind of intermediary because he was the ambassador. He wrote, there was I think it was a leaked communique that said that Starmer was wobbly on the issue. So it was actually Mandelson and the National Security Advisor and Lord Harmer.
And do you know what? Unites?
They're like the sirens. They were trying to tease him back.
Do you know what unites these people? And Philip
Terribleness.
Well, no, but also, as Trump would say, China.
Yeah.
It's what unites
Jonathan Powell was having off the books meetings with China. He's not even elected, as was Mandelson. So that's the crucial bit that they need to find out. What was Number 10 telling Peter Mandelson and what was Peter Mandelson telling the White House? That's the connection you need to find out, because it seems to me...
But also, hold on a minute. Now, I've got to be careful how I line this up, because I'm just going to say things that were factual.
Yes.
Rather than insinuate anything. But do you remember who sold off a lot of our silverware? So China especially, and sort of really first got well into bed with China in UK politics? The terrible twosome.
No.
Osborne and Cameron.
Oh, well, with the golden era.
Yes.
Yeah, where they rolled out the red carpet.
Connections with China.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've learnt that Peter Mandelson is going to be potentially fined £300 for having a wee on someone's wall.
Do you know that
in Kensington after going for dinner with
George Osborne?
Yeah.
They've always been very good friends. Right. They're having struggle. By the way, they're having struggling to make that stick because he doesn't have a fixed fixed address. Because he wasn't living here at the time, technically.
Where
can't.
Does he live?
Well, this was the big thing. What was his residency?
That's really quick.
It's really weird. It's really weird. But it just tells you everything wrong with the British legal system.
Is he still Lord Mandelson? That gone? Stripped to that?
Well, yeah, it's an act of
Can't he just send it to his office at the...
Well, where?
Lords.
Well, I presume so, but he must still be a lot because it's an act of Parliament.
He's not sleeping under a motorway bridge, is he?
Well, one can only hope.
What, that he is or isn't?
Yeah, well, you may infer as you wish. But no, you're right. The links between the UK and China are absolutely ridiculous when you actually start to dig into it. But there's also a reason for it. We've got no money.
I know.
That's the reality of it.
Well, it would help. We would probably have more money if we weren't industrially gutting ourselves, because we would rather give contracts to China while self-flagellating with sort of, faux moral superiority at the altar of net zero.
And that's what Chagos is. It's a moral theatre. They've dressed this up as some kind of fixing the colonial past. They're not really interested in the kind of the geopolitics or the kind of the relations bit of it. They want to dress it up as, look at us doing the right thing. And, we're doing the right thing. How often do you hear
that?
Oh my God,
that is the always say that.
This is the perfect example
thing
of it.
to do. Yeah. Whenever I hear, they've all started doing it on the left now. Yeah. The Lib Dems have adopted it.
Because how can you argue
no, it's not the right thing to do. It's the Marxist thing to do. It's the left thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't.
It's the same as it's the great ploy of the Black Lives Matter. Who could disagree with the phrase Black Lives Matter? Who could disagree with it's the right thing to do?
I know, I hate it.
I hate it, but it's genius.
Presupposing moral judgment upon all of us.
Well, look at what they do with the ID card. They're having a consultation on what do you want on the card. No one's actually said we want the card. They've already jumped the first stage.
It's utterly insane that you wouldn't have biological sex on that thing.
Oh, yeah. Ridiculous. But I love how it's quite smart that, they say, well, we don't want to put it on. You're making us put it on, so you want us to have this information. That's why they're doing
Therefore,
it.
you want the card.
Yeah, therefore you want the card. I mean, yeah.
We've got some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Sudanese national Al-Noor Mohammed Ali has been charged with endangering life after 4 migrants died trying to board a small boat crossing the English Channel on Thursday. That's according to the National Crime Agency. If they were trying to board the boat, that means this would have happened in France. So why are we involved in that?
It depends where in the water, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Swim halfway out to sea and then try and get in the boat, surely, unless they're trying to go back the other direction because it's just so rubbish here.
Turn it around.
But there we go.
Yeah, that's probably a really important kind of precedent that's been set, if you think about it, because now there is.
Oh, well, that we're finally starting to smash the gangs, perhaps.
I mean, well, one person is not a gang, to be fair, but.
I mean,
unless he identifies as a gang, no, in this government.
I love the fact that they've just stopped talking about the boats now.
Yes.
Just they've given up.
Yeah.
Forget smashing the gangs.
It's crazy. It's only going to get worse because the weather's turning nice. We don't have a deterrent. The only thing that stops them is a bit of bad weather.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is back, apparently, by the looks of things, unfortunately. Yeah. Right. It's time for our next couple of questions in the quiz.
Oh, universal.
Oh, yeah. Well,
is it universal?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Disciple says yes. In which season of the year does the plumage of the ptarmigan turn white? Now, ptarmigan has a silent P, like pterodactyl. It's Ptarmigan. Anyway, in which season of the year does the plumage of the ptarmigan turn white? I don't even know what a ptarmigan is. I need to look that up. I'm guessing it's a bird, obviously. Right, which English comedian improvised the Dagenham dialogues with Dudley Moore? Last week's quiz was just really easy until about question 16. This is getting spicy quite early on.
I would think if he's in a bad mood, do the questions be harder that week when he writes them?
At one point, we will, long-term bid, get on old Olaf himself. There you go. Those answers will be coming up just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. Right, in which season of the year does the plumage of the ptarmigan turn white?
Winter.
One would guess for camouflage purposes.
Camouflage purposes, yeah.
Which English comedian improvised the Dagenham dialogues with Dudley Moore?
Peter Cook.
Correct. I wouldn't have got that one because I don't know anything about pop culture or anything.
Yeah, but it's not really pop culture. It's quite a while ago.
But I would have.
How old do you think I am again?
But some people have this sort of rich knowledge of entertainment history. I don't know what's on now.
No.
I don't know what was on then. My knowledge of things that basically it begins and ends with the children's TV series Trapdoor. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is
I don't
brilliant.
even know what that is.
Oh, shame, you're missing out. That is actual cultural enrichment. Let's do some messages. Rob from Burnley, I don't think we'll get any concession on North Sea oil from this government. The only reason Rachel Reeves mentioned drilling was the media pressure to drop tax thresholds at the pump. Yep. They know the public majority will swallow this stuff and quieten down. And of course, she's raking in so much Got to pay for the migrants and the welfare somehow.
Yeah, it's also the fact that you just get to blame it on Trump.
Also, can I just check in on that GB Energy thing? How much money did Ed Miliband made himself the CEO and the shareholder or something?
Yeah, to be fair, that is kind of standard. Realistically,
Okay,
the way that you kind of do it is so that one person has sole control of it, so you don't end up with a competing battle over national infrastructure. But the reality is, it actually lies with Keir Starmer and the government. It's not really just Ed Miliband.
But what? So was it 8 billion? Or 12 billion? I
think it was 12.
12. It got 12 billion pounds, and it had put some solar panels on a hospital.
Yeah, it had like one chairman that was actually just a stand-in.
A German man, wasn't it? Or someone with a German name.
Someone with a German name, and then it had no other. I don't think it had any other employees.
Can we just check in on GB Energy, see how that's doing, see how that's evolving?
See, I wouldn't have minded it if it was actually some kind of seed money to invest in new technologies.
I wouldn't have managed if that ruddy company had enabled us to have that OpenAI stuff that would give us £300 billion.
Yeah. So then
I might have found the 12 billion that we gave to GB Energy was a sensible investment.
Yeah. You don't hear anybody talk about that actually.
It's gone. Ed Miliband has gone. Well, not totally, but I haven't seen him for a long time.
Oh no, I saw him the other day on the news.
I saw him doing the Alistair Campbell thing. Podcast thing,
Oh, I didn't know. I don't watch that.
Was he actually on the news? Was he speaking? Did they get him back out of the stationery cupboard?
Yeah.
Oh, shame.
They dragged him out.
Oh, well. There I was, hoping that the dreams of the oubliette had finally come true.
Turned on the TV, there he was and screamed.
You would though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Let's be fair. Miliband is a traitor to the British people. He'll go down as one of the most despicable, disgusting human beings of the UK. In the history of the UK, actually.
That's quite a list.
I mean, yeah, that's... I can think of some very disgusting humans from the UK.
Yeah.
But, no, they're Miliband, not Mandelson. Miliband, over Mandelson. Well, who's more disgusting, Miliband or Mandelson? Oh, we can't do this. We can't have the disgusting off. Hi, Alex. Regarding the quiz you do with Peter, the biggest question being asked is, how has a pie eater got so much knowledge?
A pie eater is a guy from Wigan.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Do you eat pies?
I do. But it's actually nothing to do with the actual pie food. It's being made to eat humble pie because the miners gave in against the strike. So they were made to eat humble pie. That's where the phrase comes from. It's nothing to actually do with meat and potato pies.
Also, have you been to the Man and Scythe cider pub in Bolton? I have not.
Oh.
I don't associate places like Bolton with cider, if I'm honest with you.
There is a big real ale and cider festival.
Is there?
Yeah,
but all the cider's coming from the south, isn't it? They don't really do cider.
I can't really. I don't really remember when I go up there.
If you are somebody who makes cider in the north of England, then please get in touch. The number is 03444991000. You can use that to send a WhatsApp message, 87222. On the text message, write talk before you text. Or if you just want to send a flagon, the building is News UK, London Bridge. See what I did?
Yes.
The dream is at some point someone will listen to me enough that they know how much I like cider, and then one day it will arrive.
Are you manifesting it?
Excuse the rant. Well, we won't. We want it. But another 3 years of the Liatoller, Keith Starlin and his crazy crew.
I love the names.
Liatoller's good.
Liatoller is good.
Every blimmin' day, they do something insane, plain stupid, but always detrimental to us. Just look how much damage they've done since the election. We can't afford them any longer. The whole government needs to go, not just Keith Starlin. And we need a truly fresh approach with reform in power, says Sean in Gloucester. Other parties are available. Right. Oh, has anyone checked on the Mauritian taxpayers, says Andy from Thatcham?
Yeah.
Well, they were supposed to be living life tax-free off our buck, weren't they?
I mean, they must be livid.
Yeah.
And Philip Sands, didn't he get Mauritian...
Citizenship.
Yeah. So he must be annoyed.
Can anyone check in on Philip Sands?
Yeah. They must be absolutely furious, really.
I'm trying to find... We're sort of having... I like... Saturday, I always think, should be a nice, gentle show.
Yeah.
And just everything on this list is ungentle, really.
Yeah, it's a lot of rough news, really.
Let's do Costa Coffee.
Oh.
Great page, front page today. Here it is. Yeah, I love the Sun and their headlines. Costa del Crime. Because apparently Costa Coffee have now had to hire bouncers.
Yes.
I mean, this is insane. Security guards patrol some of the most high-risk outlets. Similar thefts have taken place at Greggs. One of the worst hit stores is in Denmark Hill in southeast London. It's near a busy train station, and a security guard is employed full-time to protect the fridges.
Yeah, so this also kind of links into the Waitrose situation, doesn't it? Where they fired the guy who tackled a shoplifter. The problem is, a lot of it is security theatre. They don't really have any power.
A moral theatre, security theatre.
Everything's a show. It's the greatest show on earth, apart from it's somewhat of a cheap farce. Because the reality is, the law is not on the side of the companies. So they have to. So the reason that Waitrose actually fired the guy was because he cost more money if he injured the shoplifter than the amount of money the company would have lost if he had stolen something. But until we change the law, so he's actually on the side of the right people, a lot of this stuff is all kind of just, screaming at clouds, I'm afraid.
But when you look at, there's a customer who's written saying that he couldn't buy a coffee from Greggs because they're too busy trying to deal with a guy trying to loot all the sandwiches. Yeah. Went to Costa instead, where they now have a bouncer standing next to the fridge. Apparently, Costa store in Croydon is often targeted. Manchester City Centre, that gets hit a lot. And the items most regularly stolen are cheese and ham toasties and stuffed croissants. Are people stealing this to eat for themselves? They just go to then selling them on? I
imagine they're selling it on somehow, but I always notice that it's never on Waterstones that gets, looted.
That's true.
It's always, I remember when it was when we had it here in London that it was always like Nike or it was JD Sports.
Foot Locker.
Yeah, Foot Locker.
Always Foot Locker. The minute there's a whiff of trouble in London, Foot Locker gets his windows kicked in.
But I remember
every time.
when I moved not so long ago, I had to go and pick up the modem, and I got it from Vodafone.
The modem.
But, like the wireless box.
I like the way it's the modem. Yeah, not a modem.
Because I couldn't be bothered waiting for it to be delivered, so I was like, I'll just go pick it up. They have a one-in, one-out policy, somewhat like the migrant crisis, but this one works. Where they lock the door.
Yeah, no, that's
they lock the door.
A lot of the shops on Earls Court Road now have the exit. What would have been the exit is now barricaded, so there's only one entrance.
Yeah, I was absolutely astounded by it because I was like, this is the consequence. Laid bare in front of us, we have to start being honest about the situation.
Talking about consequences, did you read Kemi Badenoch's piece? I think it was in the Mail. I'll dig that out because I want to walk through it all with you guys after, let's say, the next break, because there are bits in it that, you just want to read something and do sort of a live fact check of things that are being said. I think it is worth it. It's all about consequence, and that article, Kemi, will have consequences.
Yeah,
right
she's
here
at
in the studio.
London Defence Summit here at
well, that's not going to last long. Have we got defence?
No. Yeah.
Right, OK, are you ready for the next questions in the quiz? I really don't know.
I don't know this one.
Wow. Traitors. I see we're not up to date, are we?
No.
Well, there we go. Which TV cook is the daughter of a 1980s Chancellor of the Exchequer? And what is the main acid produced by your muscles during intense exercise? The answers are coming up just after this.
Breaking news.
I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. this was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. His WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy.
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. Oh, here we go. Right. Which TV cook is the daughter of a 1980s Chancellor of the Exchequer?
Nigella Lawson.
Correct. And what is the main acid produced by your muscles during intense exercise?
Lactic acid.
Correct. There we go. How are you doing at home? It's 6 from 6 so far.
6 from 6.
What is your record to? 16, isn't it?
16, yeah.
16.
Thank you. See, finally, some appreciation.
I mean, last week you'd already dropped one by this point, and it got very tense.
It did get tense. I got very sweaty in here.
Do you think you will ever manage to get the full 20?
If I do, I'll end up with some kind of nervous wreck on the floor.
You'll be pleased to know that
I'm getting mocked by the peanut gallery.
The final question where I've got to, where it's what is the picture? That's going to take some describing.
Wow.
Oh God, what was it the other week? It was face of my dad.
Oh yeah.
Body of a gladiator and a coin purse.
That's
Gloucester. Oh dear. Right. Now, Kemi Badenoch has written a big Saturday essay in the Daily Mail here. She's called it "The Collapse of Consequences." And I agree with pretty much everything in here, but I think she's missing something vital. There's one thing I don't agree with, though. So she's talking, she says, we can see it everywhere, from the recent lootings by hordes of teenagers to the explosion in welfare dependency to the tide of small boat arrivals that mock our border controls on a daily basis. They're all symptoms of the same disease. And then this is why I think she's misdiagnosed the disease. She says the collapse of consequences in British life. She hasn't misdiagnosed it, but there's a better name, and we'll walk you through as to what that name's going to be. This bit I don't agree with. While the majority of young looters in Clapham, South London, seem to have Caribbean or African heritage, the fact is that children in Lagos and Nairobi do not behave that way. Hang on. Hang on. I used to live in Nairobi. It is called Nai-robbery for a reason. You can't even get out your car in Nairobi. You have to have people with massive guns at the entrance to every single shopping centre, to every single housing estate, apartment complex, massive guns. They've actually got a name. I've forgotten what the name is for the people who guard stuff with guns, but they've got this really cool Kenyan name. I remember once actually winding down my window to look to make sure there wasn't oncoming traffic, because by law all car windows in Nairobi in Kenya have to be blacked out, which doesn't really work well at night time. Anyway, I wind down my window, in jumps a guy, snatches my phone. They wait, they know. So I'm sorry, this idea that it's like some sort of peaceful utopian Elysian fields in Lagos or Nairobi is for the birds, Kemi. I know the point you're trying to make is saying it's not about skin colour, but I'm sorry. Lagos? Crime-free?
Yeah.
Lagos?
I think she's
Are you kidding me?
I think she's trying to play on the stereotype of the tough kind of African parent narrative that probably she grew up with. I think that's probably what she's trying to play off. I think she's got.
We're not saying
she's kind
that you
of
were
shot
out
for the goal, missed, but the direction was the right
I'm not
way.
saying you were out looting, and I'm sure you were in a very sort of a proper family, Kemi, and worked hard and were very, well disciplined and all the rest of it. But this idea that she's sort of saying, well, this just doesn't happen in Lagos and Nairobi. I'm like, what would happen though? If when you, in many African countries, if you go and nick something, it's not so much the police turn up, because the police are often very corrupt, by the way. They are. It's a huge endemic problem across Africa. No, what happens is all the locals will chase you down and throw things at you. There will be a sort of public reckoning.
Yeah.
Sometimes involving car tyres, and it's not nice. So I kind of think that is a bit of a stupid throwaway comment to make, saying. But then, she does say that, after Clapham was looted, what did the Mayor of London do? Well, he gave an extra 30 million quid for youth clubs. Oh. I hate it when it's like youth clubs solve, but they don't.
Boxing clubs. Do you remember how we fixed knife crime with boxing clubs?
Now, you always see these people, Kensington High Street, sort of saying, can you give us money so kids have DJing lessons instead of stabbing each other? Yeah. I'm like, no.
Because actually,
I think that's ludicrous.
What actually happens is these places become central hubs for everybody to meet before they go off.
Stabbing centres.
No, but before they go off and do the actual... They become like the clubhouse for the gang.
And also, I don't think, having lessons in becoming a DJ is going to sort of set you off in life in a useful direction.
Yeah, it just kind of...
It's like, can we give these kids some money so we send them to a high security borstal where they're going to be forced to learn arithmetic? I'd be like, go on then.
Yeah, I do feel like it's somewhat the kind of old-fashioned way of, if you weren't the smartest kid, you were given the colouring in. I feel like it's that approach, and it's actually quite patronising, because I've always said what people actually need is a job.
She then sort of talks about various things. One is the fact that people get arrested and then are basically let off scot-free, released a few weeks later. Well, we've got no prison spaces, and that has not been a problem that's just about arrived today. That was under the Conservative Party's watch. Kemi, you were in the cabinet, my love. She talks about the Rwanda plan. There being a consequence for breaking into the country. Now, segue into this, isn't it funny that the EU are trying to do the Rwanda plan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. And also, I loved it when Trump was going to buy the facility that was built with British taxpayer money, because also America was thinking that it was quite a good idea. Because I remember, I think it was the Austrian Chancellor, I think it was the Netherlands Prime Minister, all said that Rishi Sunak was leading the way on the future of dealing with the migrant crisis because of the Rwanda plan. Yeah. The only problem was they picked the wrong country. Well, I think realistically, if they'd have picked a different country, I think the Rwanda plan would have passed under law.
There has to be somewhere affordable. It's got to be developing world. It's got to be a country that's really trying to... Because I think it's the perfect country, and I'll tell you for why. When we talk about Lagos and Nairobi being fairly spicy, a bit tasty out there, Rwanda, as far as I know, I have not been there. They have this thing called Umuganda every month, where everybody, whether you're a tourist or visiting businessman, and especially if you're a citizen, you have to go out. I think it's the last Saturday of every month. And you have to clean up graffiti, tidy up litter, mow lawns. You have to, or you get in trouble. You get a big fine. And I get the impression that Rwanda is actually a very civilised
it's one of the major developing areas in Africa.
Hugely developing. People have this idea about Africa that everyone lives in mud huts.
I loved this
argument.
They
absolutely do not. It is a glittering city of skyscrapers, beautiful mountains, great social discipline. Yes, there was a genocide in the 90s, but actually, Rwanda today is a very positive vision for the future of Africa.
The most colonialist arguments I've ever heard came from people arguing that Rwanda was still some kind of hell-torn, awful place to go. The people that has been telling us that we got to apologise for our past used the very argument to stop the Rwanda plan. But also, it is proven, realistically, when you look at the numbers, that removing the Rwanda plan was the worst thing you could have done because it was working.
Some questions. We've got 40 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Right. Quickly, Pneumatic International makes the Henry brand of which household appliance? Henry what? The George Washington Bridge connects New York with Fort Lee in which US state? Oh, I panicked. We've actually still got 30 seconds left. And we're going to pick up on what we think about the collapse of consequences after the break. But there you go. Before we go to that break, Pneumatic International makes the Henry brand of which household appliance? The George Washington Bridge connects New York and Fort Lee in which US state? The answers will be coming up just after this break. Go put the kettle on and we will see you on the other side. Look, I'm having to buy time now. I got 10 seconds in hand. Didn't pace myself well, did I?
No.
Panic bought.
Oh, we all do it.
We'll see you in just a moment.
My fellow Americans, let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. The integrity, AMT high.
Due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
We are now falling to the moon rather than rising away from Earth. It is an amazing milestone.
We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity, we're now resuming operational audio comms.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. What a strange conversation we were having.
Very
during that
strange,
break.
yeah.
I'm staying at a friend's sister's place at the moment who has gone away for a month, and she's well equipped with various items.
You have to be careful where you go with this.
Yeah, well, no, but I was looking for a hairdryer yesterday. Opened a cupboard in the bathroom, and she has an array of extremely expensive creams. I mean, I just use like Epiderm. Chuck that on. That's it. And I was looking at her array of extremely expensive creams, and I spotted one. This is no word of a lie, which was placenta and stem cell.
Yeah, people are weird.
I mean, well, and then I was speaking to Claire, the makeup lady, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I was like, well, where does that come from? And she was trying to suggest to me.
Move the other way.
What's going on there?
Tommy moved me here, and then I got moved over there.
Well, this
It's
is
all very strange.
disorderly.
Yeah.
But but Claire, the makeup lady, was saying, and I don't know if this is true, but I was like, well, what's placenta? Because I imagined, you know, if you're going to have placenta-based creams, that it's probably biologically created in a, I don't know, like a factory.
I don't know. It's something to do with Calvin Harris and a placenta.
Calvin Harris?
Yeah. He appeared with his wife's new daughter's placenta or something on TikTok, and everybody went mental over it.
But Claire was...
I don't know how I know that.
Claire was suggesting that the NHS are dishing them out.
Well, it is our NHS, so literally
It is
anything.
our
Yeah, I know.
Our NHS.
Our NHS.
There you go.
Oh, it seems to be somebody else's.
Go down the maternity ward, make your own face cream. Don't.
Don't do no.
Right, shall we do some answers? And then I
Yes.
want to go back to this before we then go on to our next topic. Got a lot to get through.
Let's go.
Tension bed. Pneumatic International makes the Henry brand of which household appliance?
A vacuum cleaner. Or a Hoover. Well, a Hoover is a brand.
Because it would be Pneumatic International, but you know.
Hoover is a brand.
But it doesn't have consonants, does it? If you go Henry vacuum cleaner, Henry Hoover does.
Yeah.
I know it's a brand, we all know that, but you know, we're British, so the brand has become the thing. The George Washington Bridge connects New York with Fort Lee in which US state?
New Jersey.
I have to check that just to be sure. Yeah. I don't always trust because I had the answers folded under here, but it assumes that I actually would know these. Most of them I do. Quickly, before we move on.
Yeah.
So when she's talking about the collapses of consequences, she's talking about welfareism, that there's no consequence for not working, that there's no consequence for committing crime. Now, what binds this all together is when there are no consequences. It's more that outcomes have to all be the same, whatever the input.
Yeah.
And do you know what that is? That is communism.
Yes.
Communism, doesn't matter what the input is, the output all has to be levelled off. So what we are living through, Kemi, with the collapse of consequences, is actually just communism. The idea that you don't work and you should have the same as someone who does work or sets up a business. The fact that you work 1% of the day and someone else is really striving, rolling their sleeves up and getting on with it, and you get the same. And it's also this idea that, you know, you have to give more people, more stuff to this particular subset of society who are underachieving, because outcomes have to be identical.
Yeah.
That's communism, that's Marxism.
I always go back to the Orwell quote, some people are more equal than others. In other words, you know, you have to kind of equal everything off. But also, I call it the era of consequences, because a lot of our chickens have come home to roost. So a lot of things that people said were going to be a problem have turned out to be a problem, and everything has happened at the same time. So you look at the consequence of the 50% university education policy. That has meant immigration problem, skills gap, all the rest of it. We're now living in the consequence of that policy. We're living in the consequence of the financial crisis collapse. That is now hit economic growth. Lack of independent energy policy. Oh, look, when there's a war in the Middle East, this happens.
Well, that's it. There's always consequences to communism, and they're always pretty bad.
Yes.
It is the theatre of consequence.
Yes.
That's the theatre of consequence. See what I did there?
Yes.
I grew up in central London. Youth clubs were already dangerous in the 70s and 80s, never mind now. Carnes unhinged, says Mark in Derbyshire. Alex, Nairobi was far nicer in the 1960s when I was there. New Stanley Hotel by The Roundabout. The Roundabout. When I lived there was more than one. Roundabouts.
Yeah.
Was a great place to sit on a Saturday lunchtime watching the world go by. And the only weapon was a Maasai tribesman with his spear. I really want to remember the name of the people who guard things. I think it's sort of an old Swahili term for someone who guards things. It will come to me. You know when you don't want to Google something because you want the organic memory.
But the pub I used to drink in when I lived back up north, they had a rule that if that happened, you weren't allowed to Google it. You had to ask somebody in the pub.
Yeah.
To kind of get people to talk to each other.
Are you familiar with, have you lived in Kenya or anywhere that speaks Swahili? Can you message me the name of the people who essentially stand outside shops and premises to defend them?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
The way you started that sentence was, have you been affected by the issues in this show?
I think they also help you park your car, and they fix roundabouts, because one thing I noticed in Kenya is they don't really follow the sort of sensible rules of driving. So the whole idea of I'm going to, you know, wait and let this car go before I get on the roundabout doesn't exist. And so what happens is roundabouts just get broken, and you end up with people pointing all these different directions, and then they can't even reverse or move because they're sort of jammed. And then people have to get out of their car and angrily shout at windows and bang on windows, say you reverse here, and, you know, sort of choreograph the unsticking of the roundabout.
Yeah. Is it one of those places where they get like traffic jams for days and people sit in the cars while people actually go to work? Do you know, you get like somebody to sit in the car that you've got stuck in a traffic jam while you leave and go off to work, and then you come back.
That's quite good.
Yeah.
If all shoplifting was made indictable, private citizens and security guards could arrest shoplifters subject to certain conditions being met. So that's the answer, but this government won't do it, says Rob. Alex and Barnsley, someone's written this in massive capital letters.
Wow. Technically,
I can answer all your quiz questions easily, but I won't. I'll give other people a chance to shine. Don't doubt my abilities. From John.
Okay, John.
All right. I might not doubt your abilities. I'm doubting
many
sanity. Right, okay. Let us get on, because we're joined by former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster now to talk about what appears to be, on the surface, a great victory for those who campaigned to prevent the Chagos Islands being wantonly and foolishly handed to Mauritius. Kevin, Peter here says, well, you know, the dust hasn't really settled. It might not be in the King's speech, but it hasn't died a death yet. Do you think that the battle is unwon?
Well, it seems like the battle may have been won, although you can never be 100% sure. The reality is, for any treaty to become binding, it has to be ratified in Parliament. Now, the government's planning to bring an end to the parliamentary session. That means all unpassed legislation will fall. We could have a long debate about the convenience of them ending the session, so Parliament isn't sitting the week after the local elections. But the core is they are going to end the session. The current bill to ratify the agreement with Mauritius falls. President Trump his administration has not given the formal consent required. And that means if Labour want to go back on this one, they have to put another bill through Parliament. And I think it's set in the new session. They've not put it in the King's speech. I think it's safe to say very few Labour MPs will be keen, with all the other things they're having to talk about financially, to have to traipse through the lobbies again on this one. So it does appear that this deal is almost certainly dead.
I did see online a lot of pigeon-chested sort of self-proclamations of victory over Chagos. It was us that done it, suggests everyone who'd never even been able to point to the Chagos Islands on a map about 6 months ago. But the thing is, this didn't just start under Labour, did it? This, unfortunately, was in the offing under the previous Conservative government.
Well, I didn't serve in Mr. Sunak's administration. There were negotiations, but my understanding is the red lines that were drawn were around sovereignty, particularly by David Cameron, who was a former Prime Minister, was very aware of the strategic position the Chagos Islands adopts, particularly the US military base on Diego Garcia. Of course, Labour got a deal because they dropped red lines. I suspect one of the other things we'll see is many Labour MPs questioning the future of Lord Hermer privately, who in many ways it was his legal advice that convinced Keir Starmer. But it's obvious his advice wasn't that good, as he didn't include the bit that the US must formally give consent.
So the hope now is that Donald Trump's got his eyes on it's not worth inviting his ire by bringing this back. But does that mean potentially, I don't know the detail of this and I don't know whether you do, does that mean that we may have to fork out compensation for Mauritius?
Well, the ruling that a lot of this is based on is from a court that isn't actually binding on us. It's not actually a binding ruling. So there shouldn't be a need to compensate Mauritius for, by the way, the tax cuts. They're probably now going to have to cancel because they were expecting to get money from the UK in exchange for a lease deal. So I wouldn't expect us to be liable for compensation. But I think one of the problems we've got, Alex, is you've got Keir Starmer and particularly Lord Hermer very, very wedded to virtue signalling around international law. It has to be said in an era when we can look at various powers now that aren't really paying much attention to international law at all, not least China, which will probably long-term our biggest threat. So I wouldn't see us needing to pay any form of compensation here. And actually, the people who perhaps, if we are thinking of any form of compensation, is actually to the Chagosians who were booted out of their homeland decades ago and now trying to return. It seems about the only small boats Keir Starmer's very committed to stop.
Well said. But if this disappears, if the non-binding legal judgment goes into the dustbin of history, do we just let sleeping dogs lie, or should we actually? Because my feeling is there's something a bit more to this. My feeling is that we need to really dig down into how this happened, who was involved, which lawyers were involved, who they're allied to, what money they might have been getting, because something about this smells very off to me at the very heart of British politics. Would you agree that might not be Britain, but perhaps America should be asking, demanding all of the minutes taken of the meetings surrounding this dreadful decision?
Yeah, I suspect there'll be some real questions to be asked about how actually the government ended up being advised, by its chief lawyer, Lord Hermer, who many people remember being Jerry Adams' lawyer in the past, about what the detail of that legal advice. Certainly, groups like the Foreign Affairs Select Committee should be digging into this. Whether Emily Thornberry will be keen to do that is another matter. But there's certainly a lot to be inquired. And some of them seem like close associates and people closely connected to the Labour Party. I think one who'd even gone out and helped raise a Mauritian flag on the Chagos Islands. And just to remind people, the Chagos Islands are particularly close to Mauritius. We're talking about somewhere that's as far away from London. Mauritius to Chagos is similar to going from London to somewhere like St. Petersburg or the Canary Islands. We're not talking a particularly close group of people that live together. This is a set of islands that was colonially administered together, but actually were never historically, in any sense, a shared community. So there's a need to look into this very carefully. I suspect there'll be many Labour backbenchers who've had to defend the wasting money on this one, now find that all that effort and pain was, basically a waste of time and they had their time wasted. They'll now be asking what on earth was going on. but I suspect that'll feed in potentially to a reshuffle that Keir Starmer almost certainly must be planning for the week after the local elections, as I suspect getting rid of Lord Hermer is going to be very high on many people's agenda.
Oh, you think? Interesting. Kevin, thank you ever so much for joining us. Kevin Foster there. Interesting, because I think it's the opposite. We were discussing this at dinner last night. People saying, well, surely Starmer's going to have to go. And I said, there's something in the Labour Party, and I don't look, this is just supposition, but at the heart of the Labour Party throughout previous governments now has been legal companies, legal firms, Doughty Chambers, Matrix Chambers. Of course, Tony Blair's wife was part of Barristers Chambers. I think they were Matrix Chambers that she helped to organise. And I've often wondered, who's the person actually in charge? Can Starmer get rid of Hermer? I get the feeling that Hermer is the one in charge and Starmer's the front man for the act. And so if Starmer were to go, who does the cartel pick? And I don't know if that's the case. But
see, I think we're living in like what Hollywood calls it, the big bad. In other words, the person you think is the villain isn't actually the villain. There's another layer.
Exactly.
I do think there is another. Exactly, in politics, particularly in British politics, there are more people behind the curtain than there are in front of it.
Exactly, and
I
the
think
people
that's
behind
a really
the curtain will determine the fate of the Prime Minister. They will decide that that is the person they want to be the leader, and do what they can to make sure that that person. We saw it in the Conservative Party.
It's the men in grey suits.
Yes,
you know, I always like I think it was Tim Shipman that said the men in grey suits turned out to be pensioners and a nice tailor, but you know, in reality they weren't actually that effective. But I do think the Labour Party have their version of it.
They do, and I think that Starmer was their pick. I think he was. I personally think that he was quite possibly sort of, I'm going to say groomed for want of a better word, but sort of schooled, trained up. From going from these barristers' chambers, then to very quickly becoming an MP, very quickly going into the shadow cabinet, etc. I think that he is sort of built from day one for this job on behalf of the men in grey suits.
I wonder if he's aware of that, though.
Oh, of course he is.
Do you think?
Yes.
I don't know. I always think he's the Walter Mitty of British politics. He just seems to arrive and everything seems to happen around him and he's no idea what's going on. I think he's waiting for the Truman Show moment where the cameras suddenly reveal themselves.
It will be very revealing what will happen after May, because, you know, if he does feel like he's got to step down because the results are so shocking, who will the men in grey suits pick to replace him? Because the men in grey suits, you know, there's always been the power of the unions, and I get the impression that
they're all split. This is the big thing, and I do think this is why he's not going anywhere. There's not.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
There's not one candidate. They've learned from the Conservatives. You don't have a big, long, extended kind of leadership race. You make this quick and easy. You know, get rid of one, get the next one in.
I don't think.
And because there isn't that unified character. Yeah, I generally don't think he's going anywhere. I think people keep putting a lot of pressure on May and are going to be very disappointed that he's not going anywhere.
Right, people have lots of answers to my Kenya question. People have given me different answers. There is the one that I was looking for. Ascari was what I was looking for. Ascari. I love your show. I lived in Kenya as well and did the railways and other things, and also lived in Rwanda, and it's a fantastic place. I was in the Westgate shopping mall. Terrorist attack 2. Oof. That was a horrible day. Attacked, of course, because it was Israeli built. It's now really fortified. The shopping centre is back. It's beautiful. It's like bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
But that was a British woman, wasn't it? The White Widow. I forget her name now. Samantha something.
I'm not sure.
Who went to join Al Shabaab or one of those.
Okay,
and I think she's still on the run. Ascari Guard, says Michael. Thank you. Possibly Chowkidar. Chowkidar. I like that. The roundabout was at one end of the Uhuru Highway. Right. The security guards are called, and this wasn't the word I was looking for, Mlinzi Mwenye Silaha. I do like Swahili. It's a beautiful language. Ascari. And then the name is Swahili is Lindo. Well, now I'm really confused. Which one is it? But Ascari was the word. I'm going to have to Google exactly what Ascari means now just to check. All right, my old babber, Mark from Bristol here. I think you'll be looking for Mlinzi. I don't even know what I'm looking for anymore.
I feel like we're just going through the phone book at this point.
Just going through the Sahari Swahili alphabet. Dictionary. Pole, as they say. Slow.
Do they? Oh, right.
Yeah. Hakuna Matata and all that. Yeah. See, everyone knows more Swahili than they think they know because of the Lion King.
It's the same with Yiddish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Spatula. It's a Yiddish word. There you go.
Spatula a Yiddish word?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought you were going to go for sort of
Because that's always the example I use. Is actually it's one of the words you don't realise where it actually comes from.
And like Inuit words like Eskimo.
Yeah, don't they have like some ridiculous number of words for snow?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I actually like it when we borrow words from other cultures. What is your favourite borrowed word? Why not? Why not do this?
Yeah.
Let's get stuck
English is a dirty language, as they say. In other words, it's an amalgamation of everything.
Yes, and I do like it, especially when you get like a niche. Isn't cagoule from somewhere?
I mean, it's definitely like that's.
But that ain't British. No. That's not got Anglo-Saxon origins.
See, I think it could be Welsh.
There we go. Let us know your favourite borrowed term. 03444991000 on WhatsApp, 87222 on text. Right. Yes, Ratty, we're going to get to the questions.
Simpsons.
Yeah, well done.
I know that one.
Which news agency was founded in London in 1851 by a German-born immigrant? Which news agency was founded in London in 1851 by a German-born immigrant? I think I can guess that.
Yeah.
Which county town on the River Witham or Wytham? I don't know how you say that. W-I-T-H-A-M? Witham? Wytham?
Witham.
Okay. Which county town? Clearly, I don't know. Which county town on the River Witham had the Roman name Lindum Colonia? Lindum Colonia. Oh, I love old Roman names for things. Send those in as well, why don't you? If you know the old Roman name for your town or city, let us know that as well. Right, we're going to be giving you the answers just after this.
I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. This was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. His WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy.
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Attention bed. Right. Which news agency was founded in London in 1851 by German-born immigrants?
Reuters.
Correct.
It's the only news egg.
Yeah, that popped into my head because it's got to be Reuters, hasn't it? It's not going to be, you know...
I'd name another one.
Associated Press.
Yeah. But again, Reuters and the AP are like, if you really want actual kind of unedited news, those are the two, realistically.
Which county town on the River Witham had the Roman name Lindum Colonia?
I actually didn't know this, but my guess was Chester.
Oh, not correct.
No, I didn't know.
See, my guess, I didn't know, but my guess was Lincoln.
Oh.
And it was indeed Lincoln.
See, I didn't know it was
Yeah, I do like the name of like Roman names and things. So Cirencester was Corinium.
Oh.
And
I prefer Corinium.
Yeah, I think bring back Corinium. And it was an extremely important Roman city, directly connected to Gliwum, which is Gloucester.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's less of a nice name. I prefer Gloucester.
Londinium?
Londinium, yeah. I mean, that was a little obvious. A bit on the nose, that one.
Bit on the nose, yeah.
Yeah.
But Corinium is lovely, isn't it?
What's Chester, then?
Oh, this is... again, this
because
is
I should know it, because we went on school trips to... Yeah, because they got the Roman walls.
Chester and York.
Yeah.
One begins with an E. It sounds like Ebola or something.
Ebola.
One of them sounds like
okay,
Ebola.
CNN, calm down.
Again, it's sort of like, do we look it up or do we just have to try and garner it by osmosis or through our audience? Cagoule, anorak and moccasin and kayak. A Native American word. Jay in Colindale.
Yeah.
I knew they were from something. So there we go.
Yeah. I do like the word cagoule.
I like the word cagoule.
Yeah.
Anything with a double O, I really like.
Cagoule.
I always want to say it in a funny way, like spoon.
Yeah, I can't help but say it in a Welsh accent. I'm not going to do it.
I think you should.
No, I'm not. I don't do accents. I don't even have the accent of the town that I'm from. Let alone
cagoule.
Cagoule. Like, I don't know what it is. Again, it's the double O that I feel like I just imagine Tom Jones saying it, and that's how I imagine it should be said.
See, I always want to say it in an accent that I really should never do. It's like double O's. It's just it's a funny one. But double O words are basically any word that's nice and fun. Any word that's got inherent merriment and joy has to have a double letter. Basically,
usually it makes you smile.
Woggle.
Yeah,
is my favourite.
Woggle.
Woggle is my all-time favourite word. It's very good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Piffle. double letter words are just
there used to be a TV
superior.
series called Balderdash. I think it was Balderdash and Piffle, and it was a etymology show. It was presented by Susie Dent, on BBC 4.
Really?
Yeah, years ago.
I used to really like, what was the one where they sat down, they gave a word and people would give dictionary definitions and you had to... That was really good with Alan Corran.
Yes.
Call My Bluff.
Call My Bluff, that was it. Okay.
We don't, apart from Only Connect, we don't have intelligent programmes anymore.
No, we got University Challenge, but that's, But Only Connect is, I do like that, I have to admit. Me and my mum watch that.
I love it. It's so hard.
Yeah.
I'm basically just sort of flailing around, desperately drowning, until the missing vowels rang.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, I'm on fire. I just go bam, 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 bam,
yeah,
bam. I think
I'm
it's
good
where
at that one.
So many crosswords and cryptic crosswords. The missing vowels is there, go, and I'm like, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But everything else, I struggle with enormously.
The wall. I can't read it
the
fast
wall
enough.
is so hard.
Yeah.
Right, I want to do this story, because this is just balmy. I want to do this story before we go to the next break, which is Putin's sailors can claim asylum. This is the fear of ministers. Apparently, one of the reasons why we're not allowed to intercept sanctioned Russian tankers, mainly because we don't have a Royal Navy, but let's
I think
forget
that's the big
one. But basically, the sailors on Shadow Fleet tankers are mercenaries hired by the Kremlin, who could then argue that they were at risk of persecution in Russia or their home country if they were returned there. So if we then seize these sanctioned vessels, we might be... I mean, this, to me, demonstrates how farcical the asylum system is.
Yes,
you basically can just invent, if you come from a non-nice country, basically if you're not from Western Europe, that's it. You just I'm not from here, so I get to claim asylum, because invariably if you're not from Western Europe, you probably might face poverty, or there might not be medicine to treat your condition, or they might not think kindly upon LGBTQ plus people, or they might have some dodgy politics going on, or basically, or you might have been trafficked in by a criminal gang. You just have to not to be from Western Europe to claim asylum in Western Europe. 80% of the world lives
under some kind of authoritarian regime. 80%. So yes, we take everybody.
And 3/4 of the world criminalise homosexuality, something like that.
Or it's some kind of restriction on it. There's 7 where you could be put to death. There's also a link between all of those, but I'll let people Google that.
I really want to know now. Ross from the Isle of Wight. The Romans knew the island as Vectis.
Oh, that's a name.
That's nice.
That's nice. That's better than the Isle of Man.
I want to go to the Vectis Festival. Vectis is good. Sounds strong.
Yeah.
Vectis.
Although it does sound like the name of the team on The Apprentice.
But can I just point something out? The letter V did not exist.
Yeah.
It was actually a U.
I thought it was a W.
No, a W was a double U.
Yeah.
Which is why a W is 2 V's stuck together, because a V was a U.
A V is pronounced as a W, because it's not...
Exactly, because it was a U.
Yeah, so it's not very, very Vici, it's Winnie Winnie Weechy.
Exactly. Yeah. want to say that one again?
Winnie, Winnie, Weechy.
Winnie, Winnie,
say that
Winnie,
after three.
Weechy.
After you've had a lot of Vinny, say that.
Do you think that sort of completely destroys the image, you know? Winnie, Winnie, Weechy.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. That, yeah.
My favourite word is geschlossen.
Oh.
It means closed in German.
Yeah.
My brother went through this phase of shouting silence in German. I can't remember what it was anymore, but he used to love shouting the word silence in German because it just sounded so aggressive.
What's is it Kraken something? The ambulance is like it's a really violent word, but it begins with like Kraken something. I will look that up, but yeah.
Krankwagen.
Yeah.
I don't think my
Krankenwagen.
Krankenwagen.
What's Krankenwagen?
An
the
ambulance.
ambulance.
Krankenwagen.
Yes. Krankenwagen.
I think that's a great word.
That's really good. And what we need now is Luke to tell us what silence is in German, because it was very good. There was this amazing walk where you go around. It started off right, because I'm from Gloucester. We used to go on walks around the Forest of Dean, which is a very beautiful place, and they have this thing called the Sculpture Trail there, and it's actually really rather delightful. You walk around, there's all these installations, so you go around the forest, and there's one area where one of the installations is all these different signs in different languages for the word for silence. And you sort of read them, there's silence, and something nice, and then all of a sudden there's the German one. And it's deeply aggressive.
Oh, yeah. So there was a trend on Instagram and TikTok where they're like people pretended to be countries all saying the same word, and then the German was a really angry version of it.
Yeah, like butterfly.
Yeah, it's all that kind of thing. But the thing I like about German is they have words to describe, more words to describe feelings. It's where you get Schadenfreude from.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we don't have that in English, and I think that's.
And we always thought the Germans didn't really have feelings, but mainly the words to describe the feelings are normally slightly spiteful feelings.
Yes, I like that though.
Here we go. So York, I told you it sounded like Ebola. It's a Iberarcum.
Iberarcum.
Yeah. That is how you might have said it.
Not gonna lie, they sound a lot better.
Leicester in Roman was in Roman Ratai, pronounced Rati. I like Ratty, producer. There you go. Alex, how about the word doby? Originally from the Hindi word dobi, meaning laundry. It is a word adopted by those who served in the British Army from the times of the Empire and is still used today. I've not heard of doby.
Doby.
My favourite borrowed word. I love this, but people say my favourite borrowed word. I've never heard of this. We haven't borrowed it. And I like the word, but we didn't borrow it because this is not, flying around.
Adopted.
I've never heard this.
I like the word adopted. We adopted the word.
Apparently it's schnooky-putzy.
Oh, that's
a German term of endearment. I've never heard that. And my favourite word commonly used in English is poppycock, which comes from the Dutch pappelkak, which translates as soft dung. And an old Roman name for my town, Margate, is Margatium. I think we could just turn anything into...
Oh, so I always joke around with my partner who's Italian that basically you just put an O on the end of everything.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, it's really true.
Take French and add an extra vowel on the end. Done.
Put an accent and say it French. And it is the word. Yeah.
Right, shall we get on with our questions for our quiz? Because coming up after that, we're going to be speaking to a brilliant space scientist. We're going to be asking him all about Artemis's return home. Well done. I like the chase.
Yeah.
Stena Line operates a ferry route between which Welsh town and Rosslare in County Wexford? Stena Line operates a ferry route between which Welsh town and Rosslare in County Wexford? And which Irish actor starred in Queer as Folk, The Wire and Game of Thrones? Ooh, that's a thinker. Which Irish actor starred in Queer as Folk, The Wire and Game of Thrones? Answers coming up after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. Right. Stena Line operates a ferry route between which Welsh town and Rosslare in County Wexford?
I actually don't know.
Ooh. Fishguard.
I would never have guessed
I wouldn't have known. Which Irish actors starred in Queer as Folk, The Wire and Game of Thrones?
Never
heard of him. Who was he?
He was his finger.
What do you mean he's finger?
So his name in Game of Thrones is known as the Littlefinger.
I've never seen Game of Thrones, and I've never seen Queer as Folk, but I have seen The Wire, so I'm trying to
I can't think who he is in The Wire. I don't remember him in that, but honestly...
Oh, I don't know who he is. I think he might have played the little Mareman. Not Mareman like a sea creature.
Yeah, I actually don't know what his name is. I can see his face.
Might be him. And the name is Aidan Gillen.
Aidan Gillen.
Is he sort of some short, dark hair?
He's got like curly... He used to have quite curly hair. And then,
I think it might be the guy who plays the mayor of Baltimore, the person running to be mayor of Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think.
It's been a long time since I've watched that.
So we didn't get that either?
No.
Blimey, you've got
I should have known Aidan Gillen. I should have known that.
To equal the record. What was that?
Boo, you suck, apparently.
Boo, you suck.
Schweigen!
I feel like my mother in the room.
That's the German word for silence that my brother still shouts to this day. I think he shouts it at his children. It's okay, do not phone the authorities. He's a very good father. But I remember just walking around when we were sort of walking around this sculpture thing. And that's it. For the rest of the walk, my brother was just bellowing the word Schweigen into the forest. And it's a habit that stayed to this day, like the fact that his nickname for me is Schmend.
Schmend.
From Schmendrick, from a film we watched when we were kids. I love those things. It's nice having a sibling.
I've got a sister, so yeah.
Yeah, what do you call her? What's your nickname for her?
We don't have nicknames.
Really?
No, not really.
Oh, you're missing out. Latin Sillies. Sic transit Gloria Mundi. My Ford van is broken, but it's a good start to the week. Telepneus Boxus. Phone box.
I feel like the first one. You
can't do that because I'm sorry, the prefix is Greek.
Yeah, it's like when people say homosexual when it's actually homosexual because it's the Greek for the same as not man. Yeah.
It's also, when you talk about how planets, I'm going to segue.
Yeah, there we go.
How you pronounce planets, and when people say Uranus and others say Uranus, and which is it? And I think it's because it's where the stress on the vowel lies, and I think. I don't know.
I think it is Uranus.
I think it's Uranus. Shall we ask a space expert?
I feel like we've got one on the line. So
let's say we do. We have. Also, he's got a brilliant name.
Oh,
Greg Smye Rumsby.
That is a fantastic.
That's such a fantastic name. Welcome to the show, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. So we'll do it from the beginning, shall we? We'll start with the nearest planet to the Sun: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Pallas, and Neptune.
What?
You see, all the planets are Roman gods, except Uranus is Greek.
Yes.
So we do need to give it its Roman counterpart, which is actually Caelus.
Caelus.
Fantastic fact.
How about that one?
Oh, that's brilliant.
That is a really good fact. When you go through the months of the year, what is really annoying about them is they no longer make sense because the Romans chucked in extra names like July for Julius Caesar, and then all of a sudden December, representing the 10th month, is now in the 12th month, and it's got ugly.
Yeah.
It's illogical, and I don't like it.
Janus and Febrius for January and February.
Yeah. Oh, it's a glorious jumper as well, can I just say.
Can you see what it is?
No.
Because it's not a Christmas jumper.
It looks like a turkey.
Sheep!
It is sheep.
It's from just outside Reykjavik. So we went to see Reykjavik just before lockdown, and it was fantastic.
Oh, but did you see the Northern Lights?
We did! Brilliant, the Northern Lights.
Oh, you're so lucky. I went to the Arctic Circle, to the very north of Finland, where it was dark all day, all night, and I stayed for about 5 days and I didn't see them, and I was deeply disappointed.
You should have seen them. The solar wind does interact with the upper atmosphere all the time. Actually, you should be able to see them during the day, but because it's so bright, we can't.
We're getting a lot more in the United Kingdom now, aren't we? Further and further south. Why is that?
Only because the way the Earth's magnetic field behaves, and also how aggressive the sun does become. Every 11 years, the sun's cycle it causes it to be what we call solar maximum, and it sort of spits out lots of these charged particles, mainly protons. They interact about about 150, 200 kilometers up in our atmosphere. And believe it or not, iPhones, and I think some Android phones, they record the northern lights way better than your eyes can see.
Someone was telling me this the other day, that now with cameras, you know, you can sort of take photographs where you can't see anything, and then you'll see something in the photograph because your eyes, basically that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, talking about taking photographs of things in space, Artemis is back, a textbook landing. How important was this mission? Because for some people, they're sitting there going, OK, but we actually went to the moon ages ago. Yeah. This one sort of hasn't landed on the moon. It's flown close to the moon. It's taken photographs. There's all sorts of conspiracy theories comparing photographs of the dark side of the moon from one trip and the other or something like that, saying, oh, well, you know, it's the same, so it's all a hoax. We don't listen to those people because they're balmy. But tell me about... I mean, for me, it was just a feel-good thing. I like space exploration. It's nice to see us rolling our sleeves up and getting on once again. But what is the significance of this?
OK, so when the Apollo program was taking humans to the moon, it was sandwiches. Just sandwiches. You had exactly the right, in fact, just the right amount of fuel, just the right amount of water, just the right amount of everything. Just. So you just got to the moon and you just made it back to the Earth. That's not what Orion is all about and the Artemis program. It's literally taking more than enough so you can stay on the moon. That's what this whole project is about. And Apollo 8 did pretty much the same mission as the Orion spacecraft has just done, and that went round the back of the moon and it photographed the moon. But of course it was a lot closer to the lunar surface than Orion. Orion took them furthest from the Earth than any humans has ever been.
And what are the next steps? So they've proven they can get there and back neatly. They've gone round the other side. My understanding is the next ambition, is it by 2028, to once again have people on the moon?
Yes, that is pretty much it. China might get there first, but I'm not sure they will be able to do that. But yes, to get humans back on the moon, they're going to the South Pole of the moon, near a crater called Shackleton. And the reason for that is because down in the permanently shaded parts of the lunar craters, where they never receive sunlight, there is frozen water. But generally speaking, there's no water on the moon, but there are little pockets of sort of encaged water, so it stays on the lunar surface forever and it doesn't escape to space. And they're going there because they can do science, they can do lots of things with the moon, and then perhaps it's a stepping stone to take humans to Mars.
What is the provenance of the water on the moon?
Well, it's comets, almost certainly, and from the formation of the moon itself. So when the solar system first started up, it was out of a big disk of material. So everything in the solar system is made of exactly the same stuff. Everything. Doesn't look the same because over the 4.5 billion years it's been in existence, it's been slowly cooking in the giant cooking kitchen of the solar system. So the sun gathered everything, just collected everything together, the gas, the dust, everything, and that's why it became very large. But there was a predominance of gases, and that's why the sun is essentially made of hydrogen and helium. But the planets further out built themselves within this disk. So if you were standing on Jupiter, for example, when it was forming, and you look back towards the sun, you would not have seen the sun. The solar system, when it was forming, was actually an incredibly cold place. And then, of course, that's why we've got the ice giants like Uranus, and Neptune, and then further in you've got Jupiter and Saturn unaffected by the intimidation by the sun. So they held on to all those materials from which they were made, and also their rings and their colossal families of moons, whereas the Earth and Mars and Venus and Mercury didn't have any moons. The Earth did not start with a moon. Our moon was given to us. There are some discussions about exactly how we arrived at our moon, but we've definitely got a moon. We can see it in the sky.
We definitely do have a moon. What I find fascinating, looking at a lot of the photographs of the moon, is how cratered it is. One assumes that this is sort of a succession of being barraged by asteroids, comets. You're going to correct whichever one is not the right term to use. Meteorites, probably, I don't know. But when you look at how pockmarked it is, if we were to sort of shave planet Earth, if you will, is our surface the same?
Yes, it was. It was the same until the Earth, with its larger mass, had an active geology as it does have today. So it spits out through volcanic activity lots of poisonous gases, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and lots of other various gases, but also water. And the water rained out of our atmosphere and filled up those large basins that we see on the moon, which today, weirdly, we still call seas, although they do not contain any water. But on the Earth, they did really become seas and oceans, and that's what we see today. So we still have geological activity. We have rain, sleet, snow, fog, that we have all the erosive nature of our atmosphere really rubbing out those craters, whereas on the moon it just preserves them. It's an amazing place.
Why is it so important that we get back to the moon, why we construct things on the moon? Is this simply a race for resources?
To some extent, the answer to that is yes. Obviously. I'll give you an example. If we have a look at electric technology, such as cars, they rely on some of these very rare but critical ingredients. We call them rare earths because they are rare. Things like neodymium, which is a very powerful magnetic element. And we rely on that. But there's plenty of others as well, which will drive our future technologies. And going back to the moon will help us understand that. But also mining asteroids. They won't be done with human beings. It'll be done with automated machines. But by mining asteroids, which have collectively got some of the stuff from the very early solar system, and it will be very, very precious here on the Earth to help us have a look at some amazing future technologies, medicine, and all the rest of it. It'd be brilliant.
Wow. Is it? I mean, how conceivable? Do you think within my lifetime I will see construction on the moon?
Okay. I am 73 years old. So I saw, at the age of 16, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin step down onto the lunar surface. I would like to think I might be old enough and stay old enough to complete that circle. In other words, see people walk on the surface of Mars. So, yeah, I think you'll be fine. You'll see people walking on Mars, definitely.
Wow. I mean, in terms of, let's focus now on Mars, because what's been quite impressive about this Artemis expedition is it's been quite nippy, really. They got there and back quite neatly, effectively, and quite quickly. What is the journey time like to Mars?
It's about 6 to 7 months. You can get there faster, but you've got to slow down. So you've got to take fuel to slow you down. So they don't do that. They just say it's going to be about 6 to 7 months. So when you arrive at a reasonable speed, and then you get through the atmosphere and you land on the surface. But in 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were so hyped up with adrenaline that NASA and the engineers said, oh, look, don't bother going to sleep. We wanted to go to sleep. That's on the schedule, but we'll jump that bit, go down onto the moon and walk around for 2 3/4 hours. And that's exactly what they did. But, of course, after having stood on the moon saying the famous words, and everybody's going to say the famous words again, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, that is not going to happen. When they get to Mars, that is not going to happen. And the reason is their little legs will have sort of atrophied a bit during that 7 months. They'll exercise like blazes on the way to Mars, but that isn't quite the same as walking around in 1G, the surface gravity of the Earth. Now, Mars has less gravity than the Earth because it's only about 1/10 the mass. And as a result, they'll have to sit in their seats when they land. They won't be able to get up very easily. But after a few hours of exercising and everything, they will be able to stand up, but it'll still be difficult. So I don't know what they're going to say when they eventually raise the flag on the surface of Mars and say whatever words they're going to say.
Wow, it's fascinating. I feel like you've got a burning question.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't one of the plans that actually they don't take as much fuel with them, and they basically mine the resources there to make the fuel to come back?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I vaguely remember reading that, but I didn't know whether that was just one of those kind of crazy online theories or whether it was actually anything scientific about it.
No, luckily for us, we have resources on Mars in its atmosphere as well, where they put this unit onto the Martian surface and it will make fuel and it will make water. So yes, the answer, you're dead right. That type of hardware, oblique stroke, and I suppose software is going to be on Mars, and humans will be able to stay there, but they won't be able to stay there forever because Mars does not have a magnetic field. So that aurora the northern lights that you were talking about is an indication that we do have a magnetic field, because that aurora is the protection game that the Earth plays with the sun's, radiation. And Mars doesn't have a magnetic field. So if you go to Mars, you will be dead in 5 years, guaranteed. And then people say to me, but you can live underground. Well, what's that going to be like, living underground?
Hold on, dead from what?
What, sorry?
Well, dead from what? So you go to Mars, there's no magnetic field, so you'll be dead in 5 years. But why?
From radiation. You'll get cancer.
Isn't
that if you live underground, you're protected from the radiation. But hey, living underground, that's not good.
Isn't that why Elon Musk has
the underpants?
Isn't that why Musk has the Boring Company, though? Isn't that part of this, some kind of his plan that he's kind of like practicing how to live on Mars by living under, digging under the ground? I don't know whether that's true, but again, it's just one of those things you read.
Alex, I bet you've got a cat at home.
Yes, I do. Well done.
So you can't have a cat on Mars.
No, why?
Because it'll go. Woo! You can't live underground. It's crazy. It's going to be like solitude, prison.
Yes. I see. Yeah. Well, Mog will be delighted to know that she's not about to undertake a space exhibition. Yeah. I think she's happy. She's happy spatting around for mice in the garden. Oh my God, this has been one of the greatest interviews of all time. Greg, can I just say, great name. Great jumper, great interview. We're doing this again. Yeah. That was some of the greatest bits of broadcasting history, I would say.
Yeah.
Right.
I very much enjoyed that.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to recover from how much I loved that.
Yeah. But no, again, I'll never understand how people aren't interested in this. I don't think I will never get into their minds as to why people think this is boring.
We sat there in the back garden. I was at my brother's house, but it was my brother's wife and their 3 kids. And my brother's wife was like, "Come on, let's watch it live. Let's watch it live." So we had a laptop pad thing, whatever they're called.
Yeah, iPad.
Wasn't an iPad, a pad.
Yes.
Tablet.
Yeah, that's the word.
In the garden, propped up, and we were watching it. And the kids were sort of like, you know what kids are like? They're just like, sort of coming, watching. It wasn't exciting enough for them. As much as we were going, look, these people are. That is the actual moon. The moon. You can sit that there. We're really trying to make the kids get excited. But then all of a sudden, my brother noticed a rogue jar of Nutella flying through shots and was like, "Did anyone see the Nutella?" And we sort of had to go back on the live feed, and there it was, Nutella flying through. And then the kids were in.
Oh, yeah.
They were invested after that.
It's quite interesting. My partner, he got very, very interested in it. And what was it? He said, imagine you crash land, you do all this stuff, and then you get eaten by a shark. You know,
right.
Yeah, because you end up in the ocean. And apparently Davis was saying that they have people to check for sharks in the area.
What?
It's actually a thing. And yeah. I just thought it was funny. It was just like, of all things that run through your mind about this amazing moment, getting eaten by a shark.
It's all the fun little extra facts, the best bits.
Definitely.
Right, shall we get on with the quiz?
Yep. It's Star Wars.
Is it?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Now it's the bit that we all know. I didn't really know this sort of long intro. Right, which 1993 single by the Manchester band James? My favourite band! I know it! It's my favourite band!
They only have one song. I know, it's my favourite thing to do.
Well, actually, the one in this is not the one song that you're thinking of either. Okay. And by the way, they've got about 18 albums. They're amazing.
It's the same song.
Which 1993 single by the Manchester band James, best group ever, is a theme song in the American Pie films? Not the one that you know.
No.
See?
I told you they've only got one. It can't be James.
Turns out there's
Also,
more.
I thought James was just a person.
Tim Booth is the lead singer, the one that everyone knows.
Oh.
Tim. Right. Who married Roy Rogers on New Year's Eve in 1947 at the Flying L Ranch near Davis, Oklahoma? Who married Roy Rogers on New Year's Eve 1947 at the Flying L Ranch near Davis, Oklahoma? Right. Answers coming up just after this.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. I just love this. Do you think people at home after the break are now pointing and saying it to each other? Tension bed.
Tension bed.
Right, which 1993 single by the greatest band ever created, James, is a theme song in the American Pie films? I'm going to feel really sad if James sort of, the thing that fells you.
I actually don't know.
Do you want a hint? I really don't want James to be the thing.
All I can think of it is it's...
His bed is on fire.
With passion.
The neighbours complain. That's probably not a very PG song for this time of day.
No, it's not, no. But I know the song, I don't know what it's called. I do know the song, though.
If you sing a bit more, I'll give it to you.
I know he goes really high-pitched at one point.
Oh, yeah, do it.
I'm not doing that.
Sing more, and I will give you the point. No, come on.
No, definitely not. No, I'd rather lose the point.
This bed is on fire, with passionate love. The neighbours complain. We're going to have to do different words, because it's a bit, It's got the drum thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
I think you're so pretty.
Crazy? Oh, is that what it's called?
No, it's called Laid.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Laid by James.
I would never have got that.
MG got that. Well, MG guessed She's a Star first, whoever MG is. Maybe it's Mike Graham. Hi, Mike. But not She's a Star. But that does tie in with our spacey theme.
It does,
I can see why your brain went there, simply for that reason.
Yeah.
There's loads of James songs that you would know.
Sit Down is the
everyone
only
knows
one.
that. She's a Star, Sit Down, Laid. Oh, I know all of them because they're the best band ever. I've got some bad news for you.
Yes.
Well, you're already down to 16, so you've got to get a clean sweep for the rest of the quiz.
I mean, that's going to be impossible.
So you needed that extra bit of lying, didn't you?
I did.
Is it. You came in too promptly today.
Yeah.
It was an extra half an hour of sleep where you're sort of like gathering all your brain nutrients.
Yeah.
You're soaking in.
But have you noticed that I've been foiled by popular culture?
I know, but I'm always fooled by popular culture. But did you see the excitement in my eyes that James were mentioned in a quiz, so I could actually get something?
Because I remember us having a very long conversation about James.
We've got to do the answers and questions. We've got 1 minute to go. Blimey. Who married Roy Rogers on New Year's Eve 1947 at the Flying L Ranch near Davis, Oklahoma?
Dale Evans.
Correct. Don't know who he is. You'll tell me after the break.
It's a woman, but never mind.
Right. Which Ivorian president built the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace in his hometown, Yamoussoukro? That's coming up after this. The Mary River turtle, Elusor macrurus, is endemic to a river system in which Australian states, the Mary River turtle, Elusor macrurus is endemic to a river system in which Australian state. There you go. So those two questions. Ivorian president who built the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace in his hometown Yamoussoukro, and the Mary River turtle is endemic to a river system in which Australian state. We're going to be giving you those answers after the break. We're going to be reading some of your messages, and we're joined by the brilliant Steve Gill to tell us about Iran. That's after this.
My fellow Americans, let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. The integrity, AMT high.
Due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
We are now falling to the moon rather than rising away from Earth. It is an amazing milestone.
We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity, we're now resuming operational audio contact.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, that's the intro music. I was waiting because it was top of the hour, so I guess we get intro music first before we get our favourite.
It's nice to hear the intro music. There you go, tension bed.
Right, here we go. Which Ivorian president built the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace in his hometown of Yamoussoukro?
I don't know.
Oh, dear. It was the first president of the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire. Shall I try and...
Felix, what's his face?
Yeah, well, exactly. Felix, what's his face?
I do not ask me to
I want to give this to you.
It's
really
Bonnier, is the...
Oh, yes!
Felix...
Yes!
Yeah.
You can have it!
Oh, right, okay, right. I didn't know that was him, but I know...
You should make a guess. If you don't know, at least make a guess. It's worth trying.
True.
You've gone lazy. Have a punch. You've got your record to defend, and you've got to get everything right.
Right, I'll take the one.
It is Felix Houphouët Boigny.
Boigny, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Boigny.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go, we're giving it to you. Right, you better have had a guess on this one, because if you haven't, I'm going to be very disappointed, because, you know, there's the big 16 at stake. The Mary River turtle, Eluso macrurus, nice name, is endemic to a river system in which Australian state?
I guessed it, Queensland.
Yes!
Yeah.
I'm so excited on your behalf. The jeopardy now, 4 questions
You're a lot
to
more
go.
invested
You've got
in this
to,
than I
I'm really
am.
invested now. I'm so invested now. Let's do a few quick messages before we have a little chat with our favourite Steve Gill. I think I've found my soulmate.
Oh,
on messages. Okay. Female soulmate, as in like best mate soulmate, because apparently they're called Debs. But I love James, and I live in Lanzarote, and my dad makes rough cider.
I feel like you would like, this is like some kind of parent trap situation that you could have been twins.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
Can I come and live with you? I'm sorry that's a little bit impertinent, but things aren't going well in the United Kingdom. My ex-Marie skin suits the sunshine, and, you know, please. Alex, your top looks like a UFO.
I don't know what...
How?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. Like, I don't really understand that.
No.
Did you know the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but also 400 times as far away, making both objects appear to be the same size in our sky?
I didn't know that.
Also, my local is just 200 yards away, I think. I'll check. Funny.
Yeah.
But I liked that. I like facts.
Yeah.
Alex, you'll love this space fact I heard.
Oh,
another one.
There we go.
Scientists believe that the first person to walk on Mars is alive today. I love
yeah,
that.
I think I knew that. Yeah, yeah.
Sort of, well, of course, because the first ones to walk on Mars has probably been born. If that's going to happen,
Yeah.
who are you? Maybe it's Debs in Lanzarote
Maybe.
because Lanzarote looks like Mars. Fun fact.
Yeah.
So when they had the Mars rover and stuff, they test that stuff in Lanzarote because it is so similar to the surface of Mars.
Right, yeah, because it's the black rock. It's the
volcanic
igneous rock, they call it.
Isn't it igneous?
I thought it was Ignatius.
Ignatius is some sort of pope.
It's that one.
I feel like it's Ignatius. You find Ignatius in the Vatican.
Well, yeah, it's
you
that
find
one.
igneous in volcanoes.
Metamorphic, sedimentary, and then igneous.
Not Ignatius.
Well, well, I went to school with him.
He was probably a friend of Benedict Spence.
Probably.
Ignatius. Right, okay. Let's get serious now because we're joined by the brilliant Steve Gill, former White House official. There he is! Hi, Steve!
Guys.
We love Steve. Do you know, Steve has become so important in my life, not only coming on my programmes, but Steve is always telling Chris things about the war as it's going on, and Chris sends them on to me. We need to basically cut Chris out at some point, Steve. We've just got to sort of do this directly, because I get regular up-to-date briefings from Steve, and it's brilliant because Steve always knows.
Chris is my mate. I'm not cutting Chris out. Chris is my mate.
Oh, Ratty. Look at him. This is why he's called Ratty, because he's a ratty little character. Now, talking about ratty little characters, you can pick who that might be. So, the US and Iranian teams have arrived in Pakistan for, peace talks. I think peace is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Who's there? What are they going to be discussing? Will it be successful? Or is this essentially, as Peter likes to say about everything at the moment, a theatre, rather because we don't really know who's in control of Iran anymore?
Well, I think it's theater, but I don't even think it's Broadway in New York. I mean, it's like way, way, way off Broadway because nobody's even buying this. It has, I think, a very limited, small chance of any success. Now, if they come away with, essentially reopening the strait and an agreement to stop the uranium development, that's going to be a baby step. I think that's about the best you can hope for. Now, the U.S. has sent Witkoff and Kushner and J.D. Vance, the vice president. Typically, Alex, you worked in government, you know this, you don't send in your top people until you've already got a deal in most cases if you're doing international negotiations. So I think this is a bit presumptive to send this level in when you haven't had back channel, lower level discussions that kind of reach the framework, reach the portions of a deal, and then you announce that with your big dogs being there. So I think you've kind of reached further than what's reality. But the fact that you put J.D. Vance there, I think, is a sign that the Trump administration is serious about trying to find something. I don't think this is really a negotiation, though. I think this is we're going to tell you how it's going to be from J.D. Vance in the U.S., and we'll see if the Iranian side can accept it. Now, on the Iranian side, they've got several big dogs themselves. Interestingly, some of their top economic leaders and banking leadership. So they clearly see that the economics of what they're facing, if they don't reach a deal soon, are going to destroy the future for Iran. One of the reasons President Trump has not really targeted the oil industry complexities in Iran is because he knows they're going to have to rebuild after this is over. And he doesn't want to push them back 30 or 40 years from being able to do that. So clearly the Iranians, at least the ones showing up in Islamabad, recognize the economic peril they're in. But as you kind of hinted at, can the people that are there reach a deal with J.D. Vance and the others? And if they do, can they impose it back home? You've got these other factions in Iran. They don't want to go along with anything. So you've got all these pieces that are speaking up, and some are firing missiles and some are, issuing fake news. If this group in Islamabad reaches some framework of a deal, can they impose it back home?
Right, because this is it. It seems to me, in the absence of various tiers of leadership, we have the IRGC fragmented on their mosaic system, still lobbing missiles about the place. And so it does strike me that, when Trump warns you have no cards to play and says that the US is loading up the ships with the best ammunition in case peace talks fail, how much do you think we'd have to brace for that? How hungry is he, or not hungry, but how willing is he to go kinetic again? Or is he sort of now moving towards the sort of peacenik side of J.D. Vance, who really doesn't like American intervention?
I think, unfortunately, it's going to take some more, severe missile strikes, bomb strikes, that it's not going to be like all in. We're going to, destroy every bridge, every infrastructure that you have. But it's like, okay, boys, we're going to keep doing this till you send people who are actually reasonable, because the ones that are showing up in Islamabad are not even willing to take a photograph. They don't want to meet in person with J.D. Vance and the team, according to many reports. So is it a serious negotiation? And to have Pakistan supposedly actually involved in the negotiation makes no sense when some of their top leadership have been, virulently saying, Israel should burn in hell. Doesn't seem like just your regular moderator. I used the example with some friends the other day. It's kind of like going to a soccer match and seeing that the referees are all wearing the jersey of the other side. Right. You wouldn't expect fair treatment. So can we really expect fair treatment from the Pakistani leadership when they've kind of mishandled so much of what's gone on already?
I'm glad you actually sort of answered the next question I was going to ask you, because when we had a chap on who was the expert in Iranian nuclear development, we asked him, so who's aiding and abetting that process? And he gave us two names of the two countries who have given the technology, the know-how, the intelligence, the resources that's enabled uranium enrichment in Iran. And those two countries were Pakistan and Germany.
Germany's interesting. Pakistan is not as surprising to me, but Germany, I think already we've seen, has been playing all sides. And I think that's been part of the concern that President Trump has had beyond the initial concerns of NATO is that they're sitting on the sidelines, the UK, France, Spain, and the rest. So what's their behind the scenes game? But if Germany is kind of playing both sides in the nuclear development for Iran, that's another issue. Now, of course, they're going to say, oh, we were just developing their nuclear power incentives. Well, you don't need 60% enriched uranium to turn the lights on. And you certainly don't need to bury your development of nuclear power 60, 70, 100 meters under rock mountains if you're doing something legitimate. So not only have the Iranians not been honest in that, if the Germans are helping them, they're not helping them develop more power.
Strait of Hormuz still not opened, potentially going to turn into a sort of mafioso toll booth for the IRGC, all sort of perpetrated by cryptocurrencies or the like. How do we move forward from this? I mean, I was speaking to a former Navy SEAL who was saying to me, look, if America wanted to by force go and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, we can do that. It is okay. Don't you worry about that. But if that's the case, why is that not being done already? Why are they sort of pursuing a route of negotiation instead? If Iran is so weakened, as it fundamentally seems to be, that it has been extremely degraded militarily, that its leadership has been largely annihilated, that it is sort of, has no cards to play, as Donald Trump says, why not push that extra mile and just forcibly reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
First of all, I think your mafiosa example is right on. I mean, you've got these Iranian guys basically showing up saying, hey, nice little tanker you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. But if you pay us some protection money, we'll let it slip through and get you some oil. I think the main reason that you don't take, Chagos Island, you don't take, the Strait of Hormuz militarily is it's kind of like, when I go to a shop in London, you break it, you own it. If we take that next step, then we've got to run it in perpetuity. And I think President Trump is wanting to back away from some of the involvement in the Middle East, not make it a permanent, relationship of having to have military on the ground to keep it open. So I think that there's, let's try to find others who depend on the oil flying through the strait to step up and take that responsibility rather than the U.S., as President Trump and his team keep pointing out. We don't get any of our oil from there. So the countries that do, the NATO countries, India and others, China, you guys step up and start, running the blocking and tackling to get the stuff out. Because I think as you look long term, and Saudi Arabia, the UAE and others are pointing out, dude, we're building pipelines. We're going to avoid that whole narrow stretch in the future. So 5 years from now, Strait of Hormuz may not matter at all if you've got pipelines that can avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a huge amount of reluctance, particularly from NATO. There's not just been a lack of support. There's actually been, I would say, many noises to the contrary coming out of particularly Western European countries. Trump has been sort of, suggesting that America doesn't need NATO. You can see why. So Keir Starmer said yesterday, well, of course you need NATO. Don't be silly. Although, clearly, I don't really know why they would need us right now. I think we need America more than America does need us. But what
I've got to take a shot at Keir Starmer. I mean, Keir Starmer they try to send, finally they agree after, the major conflict is over, we're going to send one boat. Oh, wait, it won't work. We had to bring it back because it's broken. Once the British Empire owned the seas, now they don't even own the English Channel, keeping little boats from coming across, dropping illegals, or Russians, piloting the English Channel to protect their own tankers. So, Keir Starmer, I think constantly loses credibility not only at home but abroad.
Oh, do you want to hear something even funnier then? If you like the sort of fate of HMS Dragon, if that's tickling your ivories, wait till you hear this. So we've had Russia sending some of its sanctioned tankers right through the Channel, which at its sort of most narrow distance is about 12 miles between France and the United Kingdom, and they have blasted a big sanctioned vessel right down the Channel, escorted by a Russian warship, and sort of limply chased by a naval vessel. I don't think it was the actual navy itself, because apparently, according to international law, which Sir Keir Starmer loves, it would somehow be illegal for us to go and apprehend some of these sanctioned tankers on the high seas, despite saying that we would. And so instead it has to move to the civilian sector, the Royal Navy Auxiliary Service, who are now going to be going on strike because they're not paid enough. And they're like, well, this wasn't supposed to be our job. And it gets worse, Steve. Oh, it gets worse with this country's obsession with international law. One of the other reasons now that apparently, despite saying we were going to stop these sanctioned vessels from selling, the shadow fleets from selling their wares on the high seas, well, now apparently one of the reasons why we can't do this, so they say, forget the fact we don't have boats, that everyone's on strike, is because were we to do this, the mercenaries hired by the Kremlin could argue they were at risk of persecution in Russia, and therefore we'd have to put them up in 4-star hotels and call them beloved migrants.
You can't make up the stuff that's happening internationally. And by the way, the comment that somebody made about your outfit looking like a UFO, I don't see it. But my good friend Tim Burchett, who has been the congressman speaking out so much about UFOs, he's on every network. Happy to help get him to come appear with you guys. But he is outing it that he's seen the pictures, and these guys don't look like what we think aliens look like.
Oh my gosh, we have to have him. You know, Chris just did an air punch in the gallery because Chris and I love this topic. And the UK doesn't really talk about it very much. We have got a few things coming out, some books and so forth over coming months. But we're sort of incredibly, I don't know what it is about us, just disinterested in the subject, whereas in America it's really taken off, and I love it. So that is a big yes. We would love to have him
I will get it done.
Oh,
I will
brilliant.
get it done.
Steve, you just go up and up in my estimations every single day. In fact, Chris has sent me, he said to me in my ear, oh, check your WhatsApp. I have sent you photos of Steve Gill in a cowboy hat. I'm looking at it, and I love it. There you go.
And my grandson.
Oh, hello, grandson. He's probably too young for me. But lovely. I mean, I could do the... I really want to come down and watch some sort of rodeo action. Can I come over? I'm going to Florida in June. Maybe I'll come and pay you a visit,
No,
Steve.
come to Nashville. Come to Nashville. We're much better.
I'd love to go to Nashville. You in,
We'll do
Barnsley?
some country music.
You in,
Stop.
Matty? Should we take the show on the road?
Yeah,
You go to Nashville next week. Oh, well, there you go. Chris is going to be in Nashville next week. You guys need to go and share a beer.
Well, and more importantly, you guys come do the show in Nashville. We'll do it from a honky-tonk on Lower Broadway.
Wow.
And do it live from Lower Broad. We'll make a big deal about it. I mean, yeah, we'll put that together.
Oh, it's done. It's in. It's like that. There's literally, I wish all the migrants in the gallery could be up, because I almost lost an eardrum with the cheers that almost took out what I have remaining from my oral capabilities, AU capabilities, given this earpiece is constantly full of Chris's voice. Steve, thank you ever so much. The fantastic Steve Gill, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you just love it?
It's brilliant, because he brought up one of the most underrated points that nobody's talking about, and that is the economy of Iran. And why all of this actually started. It is because they have an inflation rate of 62%. Their food inflation, 99%.
Oh.
The
Who's been running that thing? Rachel Reeves?
I mean, like, she's getting the lessons from them, because the contraction of their economy, 2.7%. The reason a lot of this has actually happened is because the people of Iran are sick of living in poverty.
Right.
And the actual kind of focus on the nuclear program has funneled all the money into that, and it's not actually gone into helping people, doing, a basic functioning state. That is why they cannot afford to keep the straits closed or have it as this kind of toll booth, because they lose $287 million a day.
Right, exactly.
It is actually it is harming Iran. So it's how long can they hold out before they have to kind of go back to being normal.
Them and Miliband just sitting there destroying their own countries for the sake
we're taking
of
lessons
zealousy.
from them. We're taking lessons from them, and it's so important that we understand that Trump does this. He's linking geopolitical stability to economic prosperity, because when he met Putin in Alaska, it was the largest contingent of Russian businessmen went with Putin to meet with the American Treasury and the and all that kind of the Commerce Department. It is actually to understand that you have to bring people back into the global economy to stabilize them. So Trump's not actually wanting regime change. He wants to change the way that they are operating. So it's in America's favor, not in America's image. So he doesn't want them to be a democracy. He doesn't care about that. He wants them just to operate in a way that America can tolerate. That's the difference. That's what regime change actually means to Trump. And the it's all driven by the economy. If you look at his Truth Social post, it was, there's a lot of money to be made. That was the key line in it that everybody kind of overlooked because everyone lost their minds about other
Chris
things.
is nagging. Chris is nagging. Because actually we're off at 5:30 today, so we've only got about 8 minutes left of the show. And so we've got to get this break in, and we've got to do 4 questions and 4 answers. I mean, we're just going to have to, get on with it, really.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. We've got 4 questions to do, including where I have to describe something. Jean Champion, or Jean Champion, I'm not sure, won the 1984 Prix Goncourt, we do know now, de la biographie for her book about which French painter? Jean Champion won the 1984 Prix Goncourt de la biographie for her book about which French painter? Okay. Which country did England play in the first Test cricket match in 1877? You've got to guess, because you've got to, got to defend the title. You've got to get all 4 correct.
I have an idea.
Who was the first English manager to reach a FIFA World Cup final? Well, just, just pick one, like Glenn Hoddle.
I grew up between Manchester and Liverpool. I know nothing about football.
Who was the first English manager to reach a FIFA World Cup final? Won't be Glenn Hoddle, because that's got to be before that 1966
I don't even know who that
one.
is.
Okay, just invent an English name. You might get close. And then here we go. Which writer's statue in her hometown of Torquay is pictured? So basically, we just need to know, a writer from Torquay. But if I were to describe this writer, she has her head quizzically put to one side with a slight grimace, many a crow's feet, what looks like a sort of, I would say, late 19th century updo. There's a bit of perming at the back, some sort of sculptural item, and a sort of wave in her fringe, and 2 skeins of pearls around her neck, which otherwise looks bare, so maybe not Victorian. And I would say that she looks a little bit like who's the guy who used to present Question Time before Fiona?
David Dimbleby.
She looks a bit like David Dimbleby in a wig. Which writer's statue in her hometown of Torquay is pictured? There you go. Apologies to David Dimbleby and the writer in question.
I was going to say.
I'm trying to sort of suggest what they may or may not look like.
Yeah.
Oh, do you get it in the face?
I actually know who that is.
Was my description not okay?
No.
All right. There we go. Answers coming up after this.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hey, welcome back. Hey! That was... Well done, Tension Bed. Do you know, they're nagging me about the fact that they've got their timings wrong today. I wasn't told we're off air at 12:30. Now we're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. Do you know, I'm just going to wind them up by being really slow. Yeah, Tension Bed. You're tense about that. We got to. I know. We got to get to talk sports. Let's see you sweat. Right. Here we go. Jean Champion, who knows, won the 1984 Prix Goncourt de la Biographie for her book about which French painter?
I went Monet.
No, Suzanne Valadon.
I will never have got that if my life depended on it.
I'm afraid that.
I know,
And we even gave you a sort of cheeky freebie, did we? Oh, no, we didn't. The James cheeky freebie. If you'd sung it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, but it was the Pyongyang. It was the...
Oh, that was the cheeky freebie. Which country did England play in the first Test cricket match in 1877?
See, I went West Indies.
Australia.
I knew it. I thought that was too obvious.
It's going to burn these
I am. Because I don't know the next one. I generally don't. I couldn't even name you a football coach.
Who was the first English manager to reach a FIFA World Cup final?
No idea.
Okay, mix together the name of the disciple and the surname of the most famous ginger female politician.
George Rayner?
Yeah! You still don't get it.
No.
And which writer's statue in a hometown of Torquay is pictured, which I said looked a little bit like
David Dimbleby
in a wig.
It's Agatha Christie.
That is Agatha Christie.
Yeah, she's very famously from Torquay.
Yeah, she's
also like, it's like Murder, She Wrote. If they turn up at your hotel, one of you's going to die.
Correct.
Because wherever they went, people died. It was like the Murder, She Wrote theory was that actually she was the murderer.
I was going to say actually Angela Rayner was killing them.
No,
I'm really tired.
Yeah, I know, I'm tired
I've got
now.
this like long COVID thing, and it's sort of turning into narcolepsy, and I literally could get on the floor in fetal position and have a kip. Just as well, actually, that today's show is gently drawing to its conclusion because we are off air in about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But just to let you know what we've got lined up for tomorrow, we are, of course, joined, as per usual, by Benedict Spence, not Dominic. I've already found a story about pensions for him to get his teeth into so he can become even more unpopular among
he's
the older
100%
community
correct,
on
by the way. He's 100% correct.
Well, you don't. The wrath of the oldies.
Oh, trust me, my ex is, my Twitter is
But there's a whole piece, and I can't even remember what it was today, where someone's basically warning against the fact that because of so many people taking the state pension who don't need it now,